Good morning, party people. Good morning. Good morning. I'm just going to say hello, and I think I'm going to bring. So Nick, as you know, is the jolliest of cranks, and he was kind enough to take my last minute invite. So it's going to be an even bigger shit show. So I'm looking forward to it. I'm just going to bring him on up. Hey-o!
Cheers!
Chin chin. All right. Oh, nice. Yes. So
Uh,
we had a brief hair off before
yeah.
we came on, but I think Nick. I mean, all right. Put it away, Viking.
No, I mean, I should start trimming it a bit because it's starting to get caught in my belt. Um,
Ah! Oh my God.
yeah, I mean, I do like, I put on my pants like everybody else. I jump
Oh,
right into them and then tighten the belt, lean forward, and ow!
oh my. Okay. So yeah, maybe it's time. Oh my God. It's a little trim. Um, well, thank you for hopping on. I've only streamed with you once, sort of as
Mm,
a jumping on, talking about the transcripts and stuff.
mm,
But I talked a little bit about what I want to chat about
mm,
and my perspective as a journalist who's coming into this nightmare, um, and talking about the leak, talking about bad coverage, talking about oh, and the ambulance. It's never an Andy stream without the wambulance in the back. It's very busy here in New York. um, so I wanted to kind of start with some of the background of the reporting that was coming out of it. But I want to ask you how you got involved with Delphi first.
Oh, I blame Mo. Mo in
Oh,
the deep end.
yeah.
Local to Indiana,
Hmm.
and because all of a sudden, I mean, in the background, I mean, she have talked about Delphi for years, since before she had a channel, because everybody talked about Delphi, and why don't we get to know anything? Why
Hmm.
don't we get to know anything? And then, dun dun dun, the Frank's motion,
Ah.
and it was. And as Mo says it, oh no, not man, bear, pig, not man, bear, pig. And then she started to read it, and okay, what's
Hmm.
going on here?
Hmm.
And since I'm Scandinavian, I mean, my family, we've traced my family back about 800 years. This here is actual Viking, not the diaper Nazis pretending to be Aesir. Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So it piqued my interest.
Hmm.
So I started to, okay, what's going on here? I made a few videos. Then I did the 5 big streams with Mo, where we went through, like, okay, what did we know in 2017? What
Hmm.
happened in 2019? What happened in up until Rick's arrest? Now, a lot of the stuff in those streams are speculation because we didn't fucking know anything.
I
We had,
mean,
by the limited information that we did, and then Frank's motion, and then trial, and then the reporting from the trial, and it got so much worse.
yeah, yeah, and I think that I'm a relative newcomer around here. Like I only started digging into this because I have such a deep burning passion for taking the piss out of terrible journalists, and
Mm,
that was brought me to Murder Sheet, of course, because they are terrible, very bad, no good journalists. And I was really disturbed. And what you said was there was no information available. And so from my perspective, as I've never seen a trial that's been so closed off. I haven't. And so,
No.
what piqued my interest was obviously the terrible bullshit that was coming out of Murder Sheet, and some of the reporting that was going on there. And then once you're in it, it's like you get sucked into, it's like Chinatown, Jake, right? It's like you're sucked in there. But one thing you touched on is, like Mo said, nobody's there, what's coming out, we don't have information. That is a problem, because when you don't have information, you've got manure spreaders out there spreading false information, it's a vacuum.
Yeah. And I mean, so as Mo said, first it was this guy. And then it was, no, we're no longer he basically cleared. Now it's this guy.
Right.
And then fast forward, and we read in a transcript that according to Jerry Holman, no, these two guys, they're the same person. And I mean, you have to be actively injecting yourself with anti-intelligence serum to get those two sketches to be the same person.
Are you talking about the deposition transcripts?
Yeah.
Holy crap. I mean, I had a serious dislike of Jerry Holman, but before reading that, but after it, Katie bar the door, that man,
that man needs to be institutionalized, because he is a habitual liar.
Yes. Agreed. And I think that he is I think we proved that. And I don't know if you've watched Osbrook and I sort of wilding out over making a case for contempt against Nick McClellan and Jerry Holman regarding the leak. But I think that it's provable at this point. And in talking with Michael Osbrook, there needs to be something done, because you're right. I think institutionalized, as in jail, or if not that far, there needs to be repercussions, right? There needs to be something coming down.
I think we are in a situation not dissimilar to Michael Proctor's.
I'm okay. I'm glad to hear that. Yes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
It is that everything about these cops they are basically blank slate. There's nothing about them. They are God's gift to humanity and everything. And here's the thing: cops don't start this way. Right. They are being taught this way.
Right.
And they get away with things. They start doing it, and they get away with it again and again and again and again. So there are no repercussions for people like Proctor and Jerry Holman until the wrong case shows up.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I would have hoped that the Delphi case would have been that. But they have moved on. Somewhat.
I beg to differ.
Well, they're still doing interviews and.
Them. Yeah. Oh, Jesus.
No,
I see.
No, I mean, with Jerry Holman and McClellan, they are still talking, and then he got awarded for releasing Keegan Kline out in the public for 3.5 damn years, knowing he was a groomer and more.
Yeah.
Knowing.
Right.
They had all the evidence in his phone, and they let him go. Even though, for the sake of argument, let's say he had nothing to do with Abby and Libby.
Right.
He's still a groomer and possession of minors in situations.
Yes.
That didn't change.
I know. And that in and of itself is it doesn't get enough air and light because of the narrative that is out there from these. And this is where, there's this part I want to play from Andrea and I talking, because we talked briefly. Let me see here if I can pull it up. But it's sort of, she was, Andrea Burkhart, love her, love the cat journey she's on, by the way. Oh my God, I could not be happier about the cat journey that she's on, that she's now one of us, we the cat people. But this is Andrea and I talking back when she was doing, or shortly after her coverage, because she was there every day, right? And we talked about the opacity. And I think this goes back to, the thing about not enough people know about the Keegan Kline running wild of it all, or the bullshit that was going on with moving Richard Allen and all the shit. So Andrea and I were talking about it, and here she kind of explains. So I'm just going to play a bit of that, of this. So if people can, I hope people can hear it.
How it seems Loxy was doing. You guys are,
can you hear it?
Doing that and putting your stake in the ground, and people can consume and see what's happening.
Can you hear it?
And so I think that journalism has that kind of.
Oh, Jesus wept. Are you kidding me? Who's this Who is this grifter? Who's this grifter out here?
It's been, I don't think people fundamentally understand it, much like people probably don't fundamentally understand that defense attorneys or, appellate counsel are actually that sort of stopgap, right? So it's like a gap between you and the government. That used to be what journalism was, right? That was the watchdog. So, but that's another thing too. So go ahead, sorry.
Yeah, well, and I think part of the problem too is sort of like you were pointing out, is that it's not cost free to do journalism. It's not something that you can just pump it out really quickly and get some quick returns. It's capital heavy, So there are barriers to entry to do good journalism. I think that if we see, and when we see good journalism out there, it's still the same. We notice it. We appreciate it. It gets consumed. It's valuable. But it's a different model that's much more risky than being able to just pump out quick, shallow, fast things for a very quick return, and then just trying to keep that ball rolling.
And it's a disservice. So that was one of the things too, back to just sort of Delphi, and I know you've got all sorts of stuff going on, but coming back to the Delphi thing, is that I think there was, from what I gather, the sense of almost like it got to a Lord of the Fliesy kind of situation.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, by the end it absolutely did. When we first got started in Delphi, I was really, really proud of everybody in the line, because the circumstances were such that it was, and it felt deliberate. Like, it really did feel like this was a kind of deliberate triangulation on the part of the judge to try to get people to be at each other's throats, to put.
I want to mark her words here, because I think that this is absolutely true. 100%. This was by design, and she clocked it.
My self-interest ahead of the interest of everybody else in the line. I'm going to throw elbows to get my spot, that type of thing. And we really didn't do that. We were able to come together and be very cooperative and come up with ourselves, like, okay, what do we think a fair system is going to be for deciding who's going to be able to get in and who isn't, and then abiding by that and helping each other and enforce that and stuff. But definitely, as time went on, and as the stakes got higher and higher, that did start to break down. And as the implications of that access became both more valuable, because I think more eyes, as things picked up, just more people start paying attention. You're not sure how it's going to turn out. You're much closer to the climax of the story. People are paying more attention. But also, like you're pointing out, there are interests. There are interests in messaging and in deciding what version of events gets out there and what doesn't. And so it certainly seemed plausible to me that some of what we were seeing in the final days was an attempt to interfere with,
I believe it, 100%.
The ability of those of us who are trying to just present what's happening. And sure, I'll give you my opinion about it, but you can take it or leave it.
Right.
I'm really here to try to give you the facts about the situation. That was valuable to the people who didn't, that was threatening to the people who didn't want the information. They just want the narrative. They want the narrative.
Yeah.
Ding, ding, ding.
Yeah.
I mean,
ask them more from Melanie Little, from Andrea, from others. as the information came out and the narrative started to break down, because regular news, just
Yeah.
HTC, other actors, they, and of course, Judge Go.
Yeah.
And it's her courtroom, it's her personnel. She gives the orders.
Mhm.
And you saw it with, they were only legacy media was allowed to look at the evidence, and they sent out some poor first year journalist student with a
Yeah.
camera who got to see it. While, I mean, the combined 200 years of experience in law wasn't. And it's simply because we look at the evidence, we present the evidence, we give our opinion. If you like it, you like it. If you don't, you don't.
Mhm.
I mean, my narrative, and I say this in all my streams, I am always pro defense, because that's the fucking standard.
Right.
Innocent until and unless proven guilty in a court of law.
Mhm.
When the defendant sits over there, that guy or girl is innocent.
Right.
You, prosecutor, have 100% of the burden of proof.
Mhm.
And they have to convince me. Starting with opening statement. Okay. After opening statements, I have questions. During the case in chief, they have to answer each and every one of them until I only have unreasonable questions left.
Mhm.
Then it's the defense case in chief. All right, I get more questions. Then the state has to go again. Okay, now answer these new questions. Reading through the transcript, there was never a fair trial. From the original safekeeping order,
Oh.
there was he was set up from the very start.
Yeah.
Because they knew that the only thing that kept him in jail was a safekeeping order, because when he was admitted into jail, he was a 4 when it comes to mental insufficiencies.
Mhm.
He was a 4 out of 5,
Mhm.
which
Yeah.
means if it degraded, he would automatically be sent to a better equipped jail or prison.
Mhm.
That never happened, because safekeeping order is a loophole to keep people in solitary confinement.
Right. Yeah.
So he never had a chance.
No. And the thing, and so people hate it when I say this, but I have no, I certainly do not believe, based on everything that was reported out from Andrea, from everybody, that the man should have been found guilty. I think that there was, and I don't care if people want to come out and say, but you weren't in the courtroom. Are you kidding me? We had Andrea, lawyer Lee, Bob, right?
Yeah.
Telling us every day what was out there. So don't try to tell me hidden true crime, murder sheet of it all, blurgity prosecutors podcast. Don't even get me started on those. You can try to cover that up, but the fact of the matter is that there was not enough there to convince me the man was guilty. I don't know if he's innocent. I wasn't fucking there. But
Yeah.
I do know that man did not get a fair trial. Period.
No.
Full stop. And anybody that says otherwise is a turd in a punch bowl.
Yeah. And even if you remove everything but the confession and the crime scene, it does not fit. The crime scene is complex. There's a lot of details that only a killer would know within all the things on that crime scene. Rick Allen describes a simple crime scene. They don't match, but it was hidden in a lot of other things.
So let me ask a question, because you're probably more familiar with that than I am, because I believe that that came from Monica Walla, right? Because we don't.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Well,
that
Monica Walla, and then the people who got companions, which was both guards and inmates.
mhm.
And we don't know if it was guards who wrote it down or inmates who wrote it down, because then they collected it, filed it, and we only know through the filing, not who. I mean, let's, for the sake of argument, let's
Yes.
say this Odin is God. Let's say he was the only one of the gods who actually wrote these things down.
And there were Odinist. I want to jump in here. There were Odinist guards. People that still deny that are just.
It's in the damn documents. It's in there. They told the prison chief, boss, whatever, I can't remember his name, but simply because I don't care if I don't care. But they had to tell him, is it policy to have patches on official uniforms? Abba, and
Right.
all of a sudden they were removed, and one of the guards tattooed in Odin's spear on his face.
I
So
mean,
no, do not try to tell me there were. And then on top of that, there are known neo-Austrian painter gangs inmates in prison. Okay,
Yep.
so who were the inmates who guarded Rick? We don't know. It was never written down. Just a little notebook that we will never see.
well, and you know, there's people that, and so again, from my perspective, you're a lawyer, right? I'm a journalist, and I like to play a lawyer in front of the
Technically, I'm a jurist because I do not work as
Jurist.
a lawyer. It's
Okay.
a protected title.
Okay.
I think it's LLM. So,
Oh
and
yeah.
yeah. So
Yes.
I think, and it sounds so pretentious to call myself master of law.
But you know what? You are the master of law. You come from the land of the ice and snow, right?
Mm.
But yes, thank you for correcting me. So, but
No worries.
you view it from that perspective, and I view it from the perspective of you know, what the messaging is. But I think that we're talking about the same thing, and I think that that is, you know, the what is and is not known. And I think that some of the narrative out there from the murder sheets and the hidden true crimes and I mean, I don't like to use pro-guilters, but they kind of are. I think they're married to this thing. I think it's going to be an albatross around their neck.
Yeah, I mean, it's a natural instinct also. Oh, it's the bad guy. The bad guy needs to go away. The prosecution points, that's the bad guy. And
Right.
it's a natural instinct to protect girls killed, horrifyingly bad crime scene pictures, and they point in that direction. It's a natural instinct. Sadly, a very big portion of humanity do not see beyond the surface. They read headline readers.
Yes. Yes.
And our job here, you as a journalist, me doing my thing on YouTube and the other streaming platforms, at least look at it
Yeah.
through my eyes. Attempt to do it. That's all I ask. Attempt to look it out of my eyes. Because none of the cases, I don't have a personal, what do you call it? I don't have a stake in the game.
Right.
Now, this case pisses me off because you have these diaper Nazis pretending to be like my ancestors. And they're not. They're diaper Now, they are morons, but they are dangerous morons.
Yes. And it's writ. I mean, and so that I guess is my point, is that when there's dishonest brokers out there, when people, and it's like, you know, when the narrative is choked through a opaque court system, and the only light getting out of it is through Anya Kane and Kevin Greenlee, and which I think at this point are basically mouthpieces for the state, and places like Hidden True Crime, you get a narrative that is incorrect, even going prior to trial, right? And so that was so I always came at it from that angle. But I want to play this one part where I lost my mind over, and you and I spoke a tiny bit about this, and I bring up Hidden True Crime because they are, looking back at their coverage is very telling. And the way that they positioned, and the way they positioned Mr. Allen as a criminal lunatic, basically, before the trial, before anything, and we can talk about the ethics of that and everything. But the problem is they have so many viewers, right? And so this message gets out to them, gets out to the public. Now, this is me losing my shit, as I do quite often in this case, but I'm going to play a little bit of it. And I want to point out here too that this is from, let's see, March 16th of this year. And I believe that their stream that I'm commenting on was from 5 months previous. So it was before trial, I think. Is that right? March?
March, 5 months back, October. Yeah, so
like
contemporaneous right before. Yeah.
So let's take a little listen to what old Hoosie Poops got to say.
Oh, getting very warm.
I was worked up.
Anybody?
Let's see.
Whether it's talking to lawyers on admissibility of evidence, or reaching out to experts in similar fields as the Garmin doctors, but to look into this, right? I mean, this is the kind of thing. So to me, now I'm going to go and look up that Connecticut case to see what the Connecticut Supreme Court decided. Okay, so let's do a little. Oh God, these people. I don't know what made me think of this. What made me think of it? The Hidden True Crime people.
7 months ago.
I don't know. They just always bugged me, and they've always bugged me. That's not true. They haven't always bugged me. When the thing with Lori Vallow was going on, I thought it was nice to have that kind of coverage and that kind of experience that she brought. Yes, it is. Angela K. Davis, right? Yep. So,
are you looking
you kidding
to
me?
establish your business using an
Sorry.
address other than your home? Well,
so you have these husband-wife teams that have a journalist and then a professional who's licensed.
Oh, I guess I tracked him back then.
Clinical forensics psychologist. So you have these husband-wife teams that have a journalist and then a professional who's licensed. And neither of them, that I can tell, neither Kevin nor what's his name, John, Dr. John, what's his nuts, doesn't matter. I don't know. Maybe this has changed.
Dr. John Shitface. I think that's correct.
I mean, they do say things like, this is alleged, or he'll say things like, I'm not diagnosing, but, right? And I think that's what bugs me so much is that, this is a transcript from Hidden True Crime. It's from about 5 months ago, and I'll play it in a minute. But this is about Richard Allen before the trial. Okay. From what I can tell, and again, I was not all up on this. I didn't have an idea really until trial started what this was all about. But I also wasn't going on to give an expert opinion about somebody's mental health, or even representing facts. But what they did, and when I heard it, I went and I gave it a Cecil. I seriously did. When you see, okay,
people know what Cecil is.
So I'll play the clip.
Give it a bing.
I'll probably take it down, and I don't care. Whatever. I literally have absolutely nothing to lose. So the deputies. So they're talking about Richard Allen, and what they're saying here. And this is the Dr. John speaking, and he's talking about an incident, and he's talking about a domestic violence incident with Richard Allen, and I'm like, oh boy, that sounds bad.
Right. So this is important. This is and people, this is an important part where I think that my perspective as a journalist and being able to call out bad journalism is kind of like LawTube calling out terrible fucking law, right? And terrible judges. So let me just continue.
Because again, I didn't know anything about it. And I'm like, ooh, prior criminal history ain't good. And especially domestic violence, holy crap. So I went and I gave it a Cecil, right?
Mhm.
That's not what it was. So let me see. I can't see it. Hang on one second. So what it said, and the fucking hubris of this guy, the fucking sack, I swear to God. I'm just going to play it. Screw it. Because no. I'm going to play it and I'm going to show you. Actually, you know what? I'm going to show you first what actually was reported.
Hang on.
These.
So what happened? So let me give you Richard Allen threatened to kill himself with back in 2015. And we know that he had a problem. It came out through the trial. He had a problem with alcohol. He had a problem with his mental health. And so what this Max Lewis is reporting out here is about a domestic, quote, incident. Now, that was when Mr. Allen was threatening to kill himself and Kathy called for help. So I need people to understand that part of it before we hear old what's his fucking face.
Yeah, because people only see domestic and assume things. No, there's a domestic incident, and then you have domestic violence incident.
Yes.
Two completely different things.
Yes.
One is internal, the other is external.
Mhm.
Completely different things.
Yeah.
And
and they took this and spread it.
Yeah, I mean,
Go ahead.
When did I do this? Do I have a date on this? Analyzing. Yeah, this was also in March. Analyzing the new McLeland interview, because since they threatened everybody, even with the transcript,
Yeah.
the copyright. So I watched it off on the side, and I narrated what happened. And
right.
I think I've never cursed as much.
Oh.
I had to do it in 4 parts because it pissed me off so much, that interview. Well, it's
okay. Well, buckle up.
Yeah.
Buckle up, buttercups.
Yep.
Everybody, grab your asses, because this was before the trial.
Yeah.
This is before the trial that they were doing this. Here we go.
Yeah. And by the way, what Rick did with his mental health issues, the alcohol is the self-medication.
Yes, of course.
And that, I mean, there's nothing new with that.
No. And this buffoon, supposedly, a professional, doesn't care enough to find out. But hang on a second. I'm going to lose my mind on this.
Is because I don't want to listen to any more of this shit than I have to. It's around 35:07. Okay.
I don't know if I go full screen. Whoops.
Barf. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna play a little bit.
For Richard Allen over, quote,
here we go.
After he was arrested.
Sorry, guys.
Officers with the Carroll County Sheriff's Office were sent at around 3:30 a.m. on June 18th of 2015 to the home of Richard and Kathy Allen, according to records obtained by Fox 59. Sheriff Toby Leansby said Allen, a dad of one and a CVS technician, was allegedly drunk, and his wife took him to the hospital for a medical evaluation. According to the sheriff, responding deputies' role during the incident was to, quote, keep the peace, and no arrests or charges follow. Local sheriff's deputies responded to the home of accused killer Richard Allen over, quote, a domestic incident.
Okay, so now he's just doing his rhetoric, right? So this is his thing. He's like the Socratic guy. You just read it. I just read it. Wish
God
she could
damn it,
advance her
what the
career without
fuck?
Interrupting it. eCornell
Oh,
offers
I've got to
flexible
learn.
online certificate
Oh,
programs.
sorry.
They can do that. The Carroll County Sheriff's Office confirms a deputy.
Okay, let's this crazy bat. Hold on.
Something else. Or something else. Okay, let's just hear what he says. Ooh, pause for dramatic effect. Look at that.
Why is this important?
It's not. Hang on.
Because this is precisely the sort of thing you see with so-called out-of-the-blue killers.
Okay, right?
Oh, hell no. Oh, hell no.
What?
Out of
Thoughts?
the blue killers rarely, if ever, internalize. That's a completely different diagnosis he's talking about. Completely different. This is made up.
Buckle up. This isn't the worst of it. Just give me a high sign when you need me to stop, because holy shit.
This is precisely the thing that you see with out of the blue killers. He tells their audience of over 240,000 people. It's been viewed 105,000 times.
This is before the trial. Before the
Because
trial.
this is what you see.
Legally innocent. Richard Allen, and this is my thing. A man is legally innocent. And look at the gravity on these two turds' face. She's supposed to be a journalist. She's supposed to do the vetting on this. A simple call, a simple bang would have taken this out. And she did shit. She let this.
There's out of the blue killers. He read the exact same thing I did. Yeah, just wait. This makes me so goddamn mad.
What's important here is that there was no arrest, there were no charges, so all of this disappeared. If they had arrested him and charged him, he would have a criminal record. The reason he doesn't is because the deputies, the officers who responded to this call, they thought it was minor and not worthy of their attention. They recommended that Kathy, Alan's wife, take him to the hospital for medical evaluation because he was deeply inebriated. What was the level of violence? We don't know.
There was none.
Yeah.
There was violence.
Where is he getting violence? Where is he getting the word violence?
He is actively, knowingly misinterpreting the written to his audience because it's narration.
Yes.
And here's the thing. I don't have a skin in the game. I
Right.
tell people that I narrate. I say I forewarn people all the time. First of all, I'm very pro-defense, naturally. I narrate. I'm giving my opinion.
Yeah.
I start with either start or finish by saying, now, don't take my word for it. Because do your own damn research. But this guy is a professional. He's a psychologist with a degree. People listen to degrees.
Mm-hmm.
So when
Ethics?
he says,
Any thought on the ethics? Go ahead.
any thought of the ethics? Well, it's what he's doing here is at this point, he has diagnosed with the out of the blue killer. That is a part of a diagnosis, or it's the result of a diagnosis. And I've heard him before doing this. He doesn't know Rick. He never evaluated Rick. But this folks, we can joke about the grift is real and all of those things when we ask for supers and stuff like that.
Right.
That is real grift. They are presenting falsities as facts because they know their audience is begging for it. They have an audience that demands blood, and they are giving blood.
There's more.
I've probably ruined my channel several times by disagreeing with stuff. I mean, look at the last trial I covered, the Alicia Andrews down
Mhm.
in Florida.
Yeah.
I mean, 80%. Oh, she's guilty, and there I am on my stream saying, look at the evidence.
Yeah.
Now she was convicted of manslaughter,
Yes.
the lessest of the lesser included, and I wouldn't have been surprised if she had been convicted for first degree, because there are we've seen worse evidence than that trial. But I still say, and I probably ruined my algorithm by sticking to it, because I can't do anything else.
Yep.
That's me.
Right.
I don't change my opinion based on viewers. I don't
Yes.
present opinion based on viewers. Check if I banned people who have been on my viewing me for years because no.
Mhm.
Don't I say that if you're going to troll on my channel, you have to be one of two things: correct or funny.
Right.
If you're neither, fuck off. And if you lie about known facts in a case,
Right.
and you refuse to acknowledge it, I have no interest in you as a viewer. Because even if you have agreed on me for 2 consecutive years,
Mhm.
yeah, but did you actually agree with me, or did you look for somebody who agreed with you?
Right. Because it becomes very obvious.
Mm.
Becomes very obvious, and you point that out. You
Mm.
point that out when the worm turns, right? I mean, yeah, and that's how I believe things should be viewed. But the difficult thing for me to even wrap my head around are how these people exist in the wild. I mean, I'm not naive, but man, this took my breath away. So stand by. Hold on to your butts.
This is what I'm talking about. I am so pissed. I'm pissed for a few reasons. Number one, I'm a recovering alcoholic. And you for 23 years, last week, the 12th, 23 years.
Oh, God damn it, you guys.
20 years this year. And let me tell you, relationships
I don't know.
aren't easy.
I should have turned this off.
Years. Do you know?
Hang on.
Self-harm.
Good for you, by the way.
Maybe they
Thank
don't
you.
know it on his.
Hang on. I'm trying to get to the worst part of it, because he really, and she fucking.
If you for anybody who is recovering, who is very conscious about it, sure, you can check me out on my Slightly Bust Friday shows. But if you're sensitive to it, oh no, do not follow me on Fridays.
Right. I personally am at the stage of my recovery where it's like fucking hilarious.
Yeah.
But some people are not. So protect yourself and your sobriety.
Yeah.
But Nick's Fridays, oh God, but they're hilarious. So back to these two assholes. Hang on.
Yeah.
From some Greek, from some myth. Go back to the tape, shall we? And I want you to notice his performance, because he bookends each of these lives with a very earnest quote from some Greek, from some mythic tragedy or Shakespearean, drama play. And I'm like, I know this guy. I went to high school with this guy. This guy likes to sit in his room and smell his own farts. I know this guy.
Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Now, in his defense,
Yes.
most of us guys, if we rip a really bad one, we are kind of proud of it.
Listen, who among us hasn't? But you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. We
Like-
don't actively go in and squeeze one out. We just, oh, that's a good one, and then we move on.
Exactly. Here. But this is so. Hang on.
It was just, I mean, Let's just finish what he says. You know what I'm talking about, right? One of those guys. We've all been around him.
How bad was it? How violent was he? We don't know. We know it was significant enough that somebody in that home, somebody in the Allen home, called the police for help. So does Richard Allen? Well, there you go.
Oh,
Richard Allen fit the profile of a quote.
boom, boom. There you go. Boom. I'm not doing any more of this, but I will show you one thing.
But the thing
This
is
is me.
that here, so
Yeah.
you saw that, right? The
Yeah.
boom.
Each of these lives with a
Because the thing is that she tries to say that she went into this trial with, no preformed opinions. Bullshit, lady. Bullshit. Because boom, right?
Yeah. Here's the thing: they are fabricating the evidence to support their opinion.
Oh, God.
Because
But-
this, as we said earlier, this was a domestic incident.
right.
Domestic incidents do not necessarily involve violence. If they actually provably is okay, somebody's there with a bloody nose, then it becomes a domestic violence incident.
Right.
But domestic incident in this case, which we all know was Rick Allen threatening to end himself.
Mhm.
And everybody on site made the correct call.
Mhm.
They calmed him down, talked to family, get him to a hospital. I'm a little bit surprised because we are talking about Delphi cops here.
Yeah.
Yeah, but at that, they handled the situation so everybody came out okay.
Right.
It has nothing to do with this is how out of the blue killers do. No, because here's what they don't tell you, and I think they never did. Out of the blue killers, when they are caught, they have decades of tracks that led up to it. Cell phone, computer, diaries, weird sketches, reports from the youth about doing weird. I mean, there are tracks throughout the history. And out of the blue killers, when they what they say are out of the blue killers are rarely out of the blue killers because there has been incidents before that are traceable. You have the classic with rough childhood, abusive home, stuff like that, which led to school, work, can't hold down. I mean, yeah,
Right.
there will always be traceable incidents. In Rick Allen's case, there's nothing.
Right.
There's no searches for violent prawn. There's no searches for minors.
Mhm.
There's nothing in his history
Yeah.
to point to. Nothing. And that is why they have to fabricate it.
And that's why this pisses me off so much, because I want people to understand this, and people know how I feel about Murder Sheet. They are the same exact way.
Yeah.
And they really are. So, but the way that he laughs when he presents this information, again, prior to trial, never met Richard Allen, never interviewed Richard Allen, not to my knowledge, never reached out to anybody involved in the case, right? Only taking this one snippet that has no mention of violence in it.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the thing. And so he laughs. She's like, boom. What the fuck? What kind of monster? I'm sorry, but oh God, boom. Really? Boom about the murder of 2 kids. Boom about my husband being so witty. I got to play this one more time, and then I'm taking him off. But
earnest quote
So
from
just,
some Greek
but I want you
from
to,
some
everybody to listen.
mythic tragedy or Shakespearean, drama play. And I'm like, I know this guy.
Oh,
I went
shit.
to high school with this guy.
Not the fart
In
part.
the Allen home,
It was just, I mean,
Please, people, clip that. I mean,
just finish what he says.
Watch the laughter.
You know
here.
what I'm talking about, right? One of those guys. We've all been around him.
how bad was it? How violent was he? We don't know. We know it was significant enough
we actually do know.
that somebody in that home, somebody in the Allen home, called the police
Mhm.
for help. So does Richard Allen,
Boom. There you go. Oh,
Richard Allen fit the profile of a quote,
boom. Boom. There you go. Boom. I'm not doing any more of this, but I will show you one thing.
I don't know. Here,
This is me
I went back.
right here. Please revisit the claim of domestic violence and RA. That is not how the report stated in the 2015 incident. We need information, but correct information. And then I went on to Twitter and I DM'd her ass. Please correct the record.
She won't.
No.
And here's the thing: things are catching up with her now.
Yep.
With other coverages she has done and stuff, and they are losing subscribers. And here's the thing: yes, I know they have, what is it, 300, 250? I don't care, hundreds of thousands. Yeah, but it's the last 25% that counts.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I'm extremely grateful for the people who hang around my channel and have done for years. Thank you so much. But when it comes to, I mean, I know I'm closing in on 20,000 subscribers. In reality, I have maybe 5,000. The rest are inactive.
Mm-hmm.
And out of their last 25%, 6,000 have left. And now she's sending out these ridiculous cease and desist letters.
So tell me
She's
about this part. I didn't know about this.
What?
No, the part about the cease and desist. So this
Oh.
is new.
Okay. I mean, they have sent out to law tubers and people who have talked to them privately, cease and desist letters.
Sorry,
And
law tubers?
yeah, I mean, people who cover the case at least.
Oh, whoa. I didn't
Yeah.
know that it was people who, oh,
Yeah.
I had no idea.
And now by a person who will remain anonymous, who is not just a person who is good at collecting information, have been sent.
Oh, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Are you shitting me? Oh my
Maybe
God.
not. We might not talk about the same person, but one person who is good at collecting information,
Uh-huh.
and they sent that person a cease and desist. And I read it, and I said, no legal advice. Find a law firm close to you that has these 1 hour free consultants.
Mm-hmm.
Just to ask them, just to be on the sure side. But cease and desist have no legal ramifications. It's just, boo, stop doing that, more or less.
So, but that's the thing I don't understand, though, is that what's the point then? It's to intimidate, right? To
Yeah.
shut.
It's to make people shut up because they are losing subscribers, they are losing viewers. I mean, a good portion of their audience now are there to see the clusterfuck.
Yeah.
To see her whine for 9 hours straight and talking about her brother's jizz. I mean,
Mhm.
seriously.
Yeah.
Husband of the thing, analyze her. Or don't. Send her to an actual professional. But there because things are coming back to bite them in the ass. Because once you lose your credibility, people start going back and see, well, what more did they lie about?
Mm-hmm.
And people are starting to, okay, there's something weird here. So they send out these, which we both probably will get because you played parts of it, even though it's clearly within fair use. I mean, copyright claims, even copyright strikes. I mean,
Yeah.
it's just bad conduct.
But see that,
But here's the thing with copyright strikes. Is it bad faith? Yes, of course it's bad faith. Where do we get the money to do a bad faith? I mean, we're talking about tens and thousands of dollars to get people together to tell them to fuck off.
Right.
And we are all individual content creators. Now, good luck serving me with one of those. I'm not in the United States. If you send me a cease and desist, not only do you have to pay an attorney to send it to me, they have to jump through hoops to even get it here. And we have different laws here.
Go on.
And let's just say I've been threatened before, and I don't care.
Right.
What we might do is getting me annoyed.
Yeah.
And here's the thing, folks, who maybe in your audience who doesn't know this. I spent years in the European Union as a documents analyst in the European Parliament as a documents analyst.
Oh my God.
I'm really good at finding stuff. Unless it's erased by other reasons, I will find it. Now, I'm getting annoyed by them. I'm not annoyed right of this moment. But I've made people stop talking about me before.
Yeah.
I made politicians resign.
But that's good. But see, that to me is the crossover between the good journalism and good investigating, whether it's done in the Parliament of the EU or if it's done, on the Cecil, a really good Cecil search. That getting to the truth is part of it, right? And I mean, it and it takes time. I don't know. In my experience, sometimes it takes a very long time, which we're seeing with the Richard Allen post conviction, all of that stuff. So there's being able to find documents and have access to documents is critical, and being able to hold those people in positions of power is critical. And so, doing that is a threat to people who have something to hide, know they've jumped the fucking shark, or that are concerned. Because I can't imagine sending carrying it. I mean, I don't even have 2,000 followers. What do I give a shit, right? But the murder sheet sent me, they didn't copyright strike me, Nick. You know what they did? After I outed them for being part of, contacting Richard Allen, asking him if he wanted to make a plea deal. So they reached out and misrepresented me to a third party, which was a former outlet that I had written for in the past. And that was, why do that? Why do that unless you're getting close to something? I was talking about things they didn't want people to know.
Yeah.
And showing that they had done this thing that is that's reprehensible, but also is a huge ethical problem for a lawyer in Indiana. Huge.
Yeah, as a lawyer, even
But
you are still, as a lawyer, you have responsibilities through the bar. You have ethics. You have all the things. So contacting under the guise of reporting, but you're still a lawyer.
Yeah.
Contact when you know that person has representation. The only person you as a lawyer is allowed, even if you have no stake in the game, if you have you're not representing either of the party, you still have to go through the lawyer. And they didn't.
Nope. No, they did not. And on top of it, at the same time, and I know Greenlee had signed on to, or had filed an appearance in the case, and he was still on and getting, it's one of those that you have to opt out people you don't want something sent to, right? And so he was also incidentally a party to the case. But the contact and the reaching out that they did was something that apparently struck a real nerve and let them know that I was onto their shit. And that's when they made, and again, a misrepresentation to a third party that I was defaming them. That also is an ethical violation. And so I reported him to the bar. Because I'm done. I mean, because you can't do that. You can't say to somebody that I used to work for, and this is a pattern. So I see it with Murder Sheet. They did it to me. They did it to Criminality. They did it to Ange. Oh my God, from R&M. They've done it to so many people over the course of their reporting, and now, the copyright strikes and all of this other shit, it's the same kind of thing here, but just has blown up in Lauren's face because we've been able to see what happens in court and what happens when you represent you as being a victim of stalking. And to me, it's all a piece, right? It's all a piece here because it's the same kind of lashing out using the legal system or bona fides, bona fides as a lawyer. It's doing that. That is the slap of it all. And I mean, SLA, the strategic litigation to silence people. And so that's essentially what I'm seeing from both of these parties.
Yeah.
I just am.
Mm.
Look. But yeah, I don't know, man, what,
But it is a very, very shitty way as they are content creator and they have used other people's material.
Of course.
But when we do our commentary about them, they go all hissy fit and clutching. But I'm amazed that they can clutch their pearls while wedging their panties. I mean,
somebody clip that.
Yeah, so it's overall shitty behavior. It is done in bad faith, in my opinion. But here's the thing: they can copyright claim, and all of a sudden, the video, the stream, I contend it. Yeah, and then they can just wait for 30 days.
Right.
But meanwhile, nobody's watching that stream or video. There's no replay crew.
Right.
So they know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And it's intentional.
Yeah. And I think that the way, and I might be slow on the uptake, but I think that it really came home to me when I saw them Murder Sheet being interviewed by Lauren. And then I'm like, oh, okay. But it's the same behavior. So I'm not sure how to articulate it appropriately, but that's when I was like, oh, ding, ding, ding. I have to go back and start looking at what was reported because public opinion does have a huge impact. And you said it, when you walk into a courtroom, like in the case of Richard Allen, with the murder of two teen girls, and you're at the defense table, the presumption should be innocence, but it's generally not. And so that public information really matters. And I titled this manure spreaders. It is, and it's manure spreading by big content creators and people that have book deals and that just straight lie. You know, I don't know if you know this, but in Murder Sheet's book, and I think somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, they claim that Janice, Richard Allen's mother, went to the police. Somebody, oh, hey, Sleuthy, hey, Always. Somebody knows. So they're making claims in this book, you know, that
they are completely fabricated.
Yes.
Completely fabricated. But and the same with HTC. In order to get to their point, giving blood to their viewers, they have to fabricate. Instead of just looking at the evidence, they have to fabricate the evidence. And
I just don't get it, though.
Money. They have an audience that demands blood.
Yeah.
And the easiest way within this true crime field, the easiest way to get a large audience is to be pro-prosecution. Now, I don't mind people being pro-prosecution as long as they can back it up. Well, my interpretation of this evidence is that.
Right.
I don't mind. But when you take, for instance, as we've been talking about this domestic incident, when my interpretation of that is that, and we can have a discussion. Yeah, there's a difference between domestic incident and domestic violence incident, yada, yada, yada. And then we can have a discussion.
Right.
But they went from there and then jumped over all the things and then said, boom.
Boom.
And that's disgraceful.
Yes, I agree. I agree. And so, but this to me is a cultivated pipeline then straight to who got the interviews after the conviction, right? Murder Sheet, hidden true crime. And you know, you see Jerry Holman up there lying his face off and Lauren's like, you are the best. I think that you are so cool, Jerry. I love you so much. And then has Nick on and Murder Sheet does it then too, you know? And so, but it's almost like an entire industry. And so now they get to have these idiots on here. And the thing is like my thing, come here, come on. Toot toot. She's gonna make an appearance. Oh, are you starving? Oh, she's starving to death. Oh my God, cats.
Do you have it? Yeah, they are always starving if you ask them. I just fed Mr. Jingles and he's right over there looking at me, and somehow he's a 12-pound cat.
Oh,
somehow he makes himself look like he weighs 4 pounds.
Right. Well, she's over here starving to death. I mean, she's rolling around on the floor. I mean, you would think you have food. She is a taskmaster. But I think I want to come back to your Proctor thing, because I you know, when people, and I've talked to come here and say hi to Nick. Come here. Wait a minute. Oh, come on. It's a Toodles time. Ooh.
I wish I could just pick up Jingles and carry him around.
Oh, this is not going to last. She's going to get pissed. There she is. Toodles. Toot toot.
Toot toot.
Oh.
Oh.
Hi.
Hi. Scary weirdo. No.
Are you kidding? She lives with me. She's like, weirdo. You haven't seen anything. But yeah. So it's coming back to the Proctor thing, is that I think that the more that Holman talks, I think that the more that Nick talks, I think the more that all of this starts to come out, right? I do believe that there is, and this is why I've been on this leak train, because when they brought that, when Nick McClellan filed that information for contempt in January of 2024, and Judge Gull would not kick that down the road again. So in the unique situation here, it was filed into Mr. Allen's case against the defense attorneys. But the thing is that the sole source of Exhibit 5, which was the alleged leak, was Murder Sheet.
Yeah.
And so there's a lot more nuance to it, but they brought that case. They brought that case within a case, and they told lies on the record. And we have, it's like Osbrook said, he has a good faith, but he has good faith information to make a claim against Nick and Holman for criminal contempt. And I do believe that's coming. I really do.
Yeah, and here's the thing about this self-ending with the leak. He was found with Jerry Holman's card.
Yeah.
He was found just after Holman was there.
Mm-hmm.
There's more evidence of murder in that case than in Rick Allen's case.
That's interesting. I've never thought about that. That's terrifying. But yeah, and I think that the story.
No, folks, I do not believe Jerry Holman killed him.
No. But here's what I will.
Then again, I also think that Rick Allen didn't kill the girls.
Well, but so
they were convicted.
Yeah.
And he was. Yeah.
I mean, yes, you're right. I mean, so so the thing about the leak and why I'm so into that right now is because I think it pulls a lot of the threads that were throughout Delphi, the abject fuckery of the ISP, of the prosecutor, and of bad actors in the community that were content creators.
Yeah.
And
then you have that. This means everybody would have been in on it. 50 law enforcement officers. No, all it takes is one liar, and then it snowballs. That's all it takes.
Yeah. And I don't know if I understand that.
No, I'll give. Do you remember the Cash for Kids scandal? In the two judges who sold kids to juvenile detention and got kickbacks.
Yeah.
They did that for 5 years. Every prosecutor, every attorney, other judges knew about it, but it took 5 years before somebody said something.
Yeah. And that is an important point to make. The people that say, wild conspiracy. No, it's one lie. It's a lie, right? That's it.
They were so convinced that they finally had the killer, or even though there's evidence that Jerry Holman was the person who cleared Rick to begin with, he was so convinced that he started to make shit up. And then here's the thin blue line. And then it just snowballs. Because once they went down that track, it's about covering their own asses. Once it spirals,
right,
it's done. And then 5 months after Rick's incarceration, 5 months into solitary confinement, and yes, folks, solitary confinement does not mean in a padded cell with no sounds. That's not the definition of solitary confinement. Even the prosecution in their own filings says it's solitary confinement.
Yeah. And Dr. John said he wasn't tortured. That wasn't torture.
Oh, yeah, I heard that. I went on a 5-minute cursing rant that I had to edit out to even have that stream up on YouTube.
And so, but that's the problem, right? Is that the fundamental, just the lying liars who lie, but it is torture. I'm sorry, folks. It just is. In every civilized nation, but apparently whatever this place has turned into. But about the conspiracy of it all, people want to make fun of, like, oh, there's this wild conspiracy. It's really not that. it's not that complex when you get right down to it. It's truly not. So when you look at Proctor, and I think that it's very helpful to look at how that unfolded, it's like, oh, holy shit, you know, this trickle, and it only implicates maybe a few other people, right? But it could bring down God knows what. And that's not something that everybody gets in a room, smokes a bunch of cigarettes and says, here's what we're going to do, folks. It grows, just like you said.
Yeah. And all of a sudden, with you have Proctor, who will never be a cop again, because now the cop union went against him. But in the other hand, you have Commissioner Cox. That's from the bottom all the way to the fucking top, because it started with a lie, and then it snowballed, and then they had to protect themselves, and all of a sudden, it's not that, it's the whispering, maybe not the whispering game, but it is. So have people, seriously, have you ever heard a rumor about yourself you knew no, it wasn't true? Yeah. First of all, it had to start somewhere. It had to go somewhere, and someplace else, and then it came back to you. That's not a conspiracy, is it? No, it starts with a lie, and then it snowballs.
And so, and I truly believe that in the case of Richard Allen, that you mentioned it in the beginning, in the safekeeping, right? And Jerry Holman admits in one of the depositions, maybe it was the one from August 10th, that they threw, this safekeeping thing. He confirms in this deposition that was bullshit. They waited a week or so after Rick had been in the worst prison in the worst cell block, right? A factually innocent man shoved into safekeeping. Jerry Holman, Liggett, and somebody else showed up at Westville because they thought that he had enough time by then to know that they weren't playing games. I'm like, sir, what you've just told me is that you put him in there to break him, not that there was any safekeeping needed, let alone the fact that the man did have representation, did have the right to be at a hearing where he could deny being transferred. But Jerry Holman, keep talking because you're telling on yourself. So he needed that so desperately. And I think All Eyes pointed it out earlier, is that Jerry was so hell-bent on the Klein aspect that he was looking to break Allen, it seems, from all of the depositions and everything being released, was to find find that connection to Richard Allen and Keegan Klein. That was it.
Yeah. It wasn't supposed to last that long. They were only there to break him, to say he knew Keegan Klein. That's it. And when I started to read the transcript, and McLeland says it himself, we need to have him in there because we believe he has information about others. It's in the damn transcript.
Yes.
And it's infuriating. It's fucking infuriating to read that. I mean, first of all, we knew it was bad before trial. We knew that. But most of it we had to analyze. I was wrong on a bunch of things. I admit it. So everything that maybe not everything, but a bunch of things that I said prior to trial, but was because of lack of information. But I also said it in my streams. This is speculation because we don't have the information, because they are keeping the information away from us. And then the trial happened, and it went so much worse than I could ever imagine.
Yeah.
And now we get the trial transcript, which in my opinion, is not complete.
No.
there are segments in there that are obviously altered,
Mhm.
in my opinion.
Yeah. Well, and I think one of those was the car situation, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, and I mean, there's so many inaudibles. There's so many.
There are over 500 inaudibles.
Yeah. Hmm.
I
I know.
spoke to my friend Steve Gosney, who is a death penalty certified attorney in Florida. Now he does civil law, but he was that for over a decade.
Mhm.
He's never seen his absolute worst case was over 200, and that was an appellate issue. But usually you get a handful of inaudibles.
Yeah.
Handful. And I believe it was planned, because remember what Judge Gull said during trial, according to the people who were there. You don't have to lean into the microphone. Those in the back doesn't need to hear. Oh,
Mhm.
not an exact quote, but
Right.
yeah. And when you lean away from the microphone, and when you already have Jodi who has issues with her hearing, you don't get it. There's the transcripts, the incompleteness of that transcript should be an appellate issue in itself,
Right.
in my opinion.
Well,
But
and
I'm not part of the that team, sadly.
right.
I wish I were, but I mean everything. I mean, and it was how many months? 8 months? No, 7 months late.
Yeah.
We should have had that a month tops after
Oh, it's
the
still a mess. It's
Yeah.
still a mess. You know,
Yeah.
that the order from the Supreme Court
Yeah.
talking about Jody and Fran need to get their poop in a pile and get it on over to the appellate
Yeah.
court or the appeals lawyers. It's like, come on, folks. I mean, we got Mr. Allen out there in Oklahoma, you know, twisting in the wind, and we've got, you know, Jody, who apparently, you know, I just all of the it's and we still don't have everything, right? We
No.
still don't
I mean,
have
for
it.
instance, the glaring example of now, I do believe that appellate attorneys got it, but what we didn't in that package of trial transcripts,
Mhm.
we didn't get the safekeeping ex parte safekeeping hearing in that package. We got it from elsewhere.
Yeah. Yeah.
So where is it?
Right. Yeah. And I think that one of the, and I might be wrong, but I do think that was requested to be made part of the record, because I do
Yeah.
know that at the end of the trial, they even had the date of arrest wrong.
Yeah.
And Rosie had to, you know, request it be changed. And I'm like, oh my God, what are we doing here? But you know, the fact that everything in this trial, and I look at this with Karen Reed and the abject fuckery there, and that was televised. And that's the only, you know, I mean, and that was televised. Here, it's a vacuum. There's nothing. And so all of these people are out here putting out information. And unless you listen to people like Andrea, lawyer, and especially Andrea, I mean, my God, that woman, you know, I think we have to start a carpal tunnel fund for Andrea and the cats. But it's like that, you know, that's not the way that this is supposed to work. And I don't know if people, I think people know that, but man, it's I've never seen anything like it. And oh,
And the sad part is that we know about it because it was a huge case. But I believe Andrea was the one who said it. It's not the worst case she's seen.
what now?
Yeah, at least she's seen this type of trial before.
Oh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah. She was like, she's like said, I've seen some bad judging, but woo wee, you know.
Yeah. But there are a lot of I mean, you have the span of Judge Canoni, who's a moron.
Yes.
Who happened to be a judge, all the way down to Judge Gall, who is simply a bad person.
I really think so.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't come to those conclusions quickly, but man, you know, when I found out that she's a hanging judge, truly. I mean, she enjoys sending people to their deaths and has attended, you know, executions. I just I don't know how.
Yeah.
So we have.
I mean, if we talk about setting a diagnosis, which I can because I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm not talking about Judge God specifically, but if you ever want to be a serial killer, become a judge. You get to kill people legally. You can't send them off life in prison because you didn't like his socks.
Right.
You can send people to the death penalty because they have the power to influence the trial in such way that only the evidence that speaks to guilt is allowed in.
Yeah. And go ahead.
Yeah. So imagine that power in the hand of a serial killer who doesn't like to have their hands bloody. Yeah, they can kill people by proxy.
Yeah, exactly. And seemingly have no problem with doing that, you know, and seem very, very comfortable with doing
Have
that.
pride in it. Look
Yes.
at how many people I've sent off to life in prison. Look
you-
at that. Yeah, how many times have you been? And we know that the appeals are for losers. Even the strongest cases will not get overturned because the law allows a judge within its discretion, unless it's overly obvious. It won't. It just won't happen.
Yeah. And I think people need to understand that is the possibility, the likely outcome here. I mean, my hope with Richard Allen and the appeals is that they at least have, we at least get to hear argument. That's my hope, because that you know, I think if they discount it outright, that would be strange to me, because there do seem to be some very clear, easy
I mean,
issues.
now I'm not a US-based attorney. I only have a law degree over here in Sweden. But if I should focus on one specific thing, it is the safekeeping order.
Chronic, or yes, chronic.
Yeah.
That's the chronic claim.
Yeah.
Yes.
And because if that falls, everything is fruit of the poisonous tree. And I don't care if people will say, well, he didn't get to prove his innocence. I don't care. As long as he's out of there, dozens of people with 50 accounts each can yell all they want about it. If it gets Rick out of prison, I don't care what people think.
Yeah.
He's out of prison. He is considered in the eye of the law an innocent person.
Right. And I think you're right. And that's why the motion to correct error was so critical in pointing out that chronic claim. And I hope that needs to be preserved, at least in the appellate brief. So if it goes to post-conviction, they can at least say they didn't waive that, right?
Yeah.
So, and I think too, I'm like, that seems open and shut to me. It's
an ex parte. Rick had representation at the time. They actively hid it from both Rick and his attorney at the time, even if he was only there for a few days.
Right. Yeah.
Even if he didn't have representation, it's still an ex parte hearing.
Right. That he has the right to answer to. So even if he doesn't have, let's just say in this world, he doesn't have representation in Indiana and everywhere else, if you have no attorney, you're held, you are your own attorney.
Yeah.
And so not only was he the defendant, but let's say he didn't have this attorney Gibson, he was acting in his own stead, right?
Yeah.
And he made clear, I think, too, that in that initial hearing, he made clear he was going to retain counsel.
Yeah.
So it's like, so the fact that they did all of that, and the bar is going to be proving that, and I've talked to Osbrook for hours about this, but the bar to proving a chronic claim is showing that it was a critical stage of the case. And I don't know, there was a case in the Seventh Circuit, which is Indiana's a part of, Wisconsin. It was like a Wisconsin case or something like that came out that a lineup was a critical, in this particular case, was a critical stage, and they had to remand it back to the trial court. That, if that's a critical stage, what in the hell's a safekeeping stage? What is that?
Yeah, exactly, because as we said an hour and a half ago almost, Rick Allen was on a 4 on a 5-grade scale regarding. So if his mental state degraded, that shit is automatic. Voila, had to transfer him. But she couldn't, because there was a safekeeping order, and that overrides the rest of the law.
Right. And
I think this comes down to due process. How can you have that a safekeeping order overrides the amendments?
Yeah.
I don't get it. And it shouldn't.
Right.
But it does in Indiana.
So far. So far. And I think it would be an interesting and and I don't mean this in a flip way, but it would be a very interesting argument to take up. If you're a judge, I would want to hear that, because, the safekeeping thing is like, what the fuck? It was passing the buck. But anyway, so yeah, I just, I think that's, to me, it's like, yeah, that's a chronic issue that needs to be brought up. There's Nick knowing and withholding information and putting on, the NAPUI glossip claim. I think there's a lot of things, and judicial bias to who laid the rail.
And so, I also hope that Nick and Jerry keeps talking, because the more they talk, the more, because everything you say can and will be used against you in that regard as well. Maybe not as a suspect, but if they say something in public that directly contradicts what they said there, if Rick gets a new trial, if they don't toss it out completely and now you get a new trial, well, they're back to Judge Gull. And so not only do we need a positive decision in appeals court, the opinions in that decision are crucial, because they map out what Judge Gull can and can't do. Sadly, there was a case when they yeeted a judge in Georgia.
Wait a minute, hang on. I just have to pause and say, yeeted a judge in Georgia. I love it. Go ahead.
Yeeted a judge in Georgia. That's a country and western song for you.
Sorry, go ahead.
No.
When they yeeted a judge, yes.
No.
Was that what case was that?
No, it was one of these magistrate judges who she took office, gave herself a raise, and profits from writing stuff. And every filing, she took out a fee that went to her, apparently. Now, they had 51 counts against her. But after 13, they said, we don't need more. Yeah, but that's also a problem, because that means the others 38 weren't addressed.
Yeah.
If an appeals court does that, well, we see this, say they choose the Haldol poisoning.
Right.
So, just to say something.
Mhm.
and only addresses that as enough for a new trial. Yeah, but then she has no guidance with the safekeeping order.
Mhm. Mhm.
So we are not only do we have to hope for a positive decision from the appeals court, the opinions matter.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I'll give a good example in the Take Care of Maya case,
Mhm.
where the appeals court removed almost everything due to mistakes by the judge, where they claim that no, you can't read the law that way, you have to read it that way. So he treated it as a de novo case. The appeals court, no, you can't treat it as a de novo case, basically. So it was sent down, and only the IIED claims from Maya herself that will be retried. And Judge Smith, in that opinion, even though she agreed with the majority decision,
Mhm.
she wrote down the roadmap
Mhm. Mhm.
with all the case law, everything in that opinion for the
Yeah.
next trial, how to get through everything the JHatch throws at them.
Mhm.
That was such a beautiful decision to read.
Mhm.
Such a beautiful decision, because that judge the appeals court were tied by bad law.
Mhm.
Here's the thing when it comes to the protecting kids laws.
Yeah.
When something happens, you have a lot of politicians that go, oh, and they write something ridiculously
Oh, yeah.
tough.
Yeah.
And all of a
Reactionary.
sudden, reactionary.
Yes.
And they got a lot of votes and they can stay in power. Yeah, but then probably because some caseworker gave back a child and the child passed away, and then they have to do tougher laws. Yeah,
Mhm.
but the end of it is okay. So now more or less hospital personnel, their immunity is damn close to absolute for bad decisions.
Yeah. Yeah. That's interesting. So,
And
the
same comes with cops and judges and prosecutors. Well, I mean, the original immunity for judges, I believe, is not even a law. They made it up themselves.
right. So here, let me throw something at you here, though.
Yeah.
Hang on one second. I'm going to throw Bob a link.
Yeah, I know. She did. It was not Judge Gull who did the safekeeping. It was
Yeah.
Judge Wiener.
Because-
Diener. Sorry,
Judge Wiener. Yes, exactly.
Judge Diener. And then he fucked himself from the case completely because, oh, I'm so scared. If you're that scared over a decision, you shouldn't be a
Right.
judge at all.
Right. Hang on a second. I'm trying to
Yeah.
figure out how to get Bob a link. I'm dropping it in his email. I bullied Bob to who laid the rail, but I want to talk about Bob. It's in your whatever. If you want to jump up, you can.
Yeah. Oh, is
one of-
Bob here? Yeah, there he is. Sorry.
Yeah.
My mind is a bit scattered. We
Have you
still
met me?
Yeah, I mean, the literal name of this stream is Timeline, and we
Well,
haven't even.
But the thing is that the leak, right? So this is why I want, and I think that Bob is, if he does want to come up, he's welcome. But this is the thing, and you touched on immunity because I've been asked about that before, and Osbrook and I are bending over backwards to talk about contempt, filing a contempt, an information for contempt against Nick McClelland and Holman. Right. And my thing is that I asked Osbrook, what about immunity? Well, here's the thing is that the immunity, Nick McClelland has no immunity when he's filing the information for contempt because he's not filing it as the prosecutor. He's filing it as an officer of the court. And so there's no immunity. There's no immunity for criminal activity. And then when Holman gets into court and lies his face off about what was actually leaked or what wasn't, then that's all, then he loses any immunity for lying on the stand. So I think that there are immunity issues here. I don't think there will be. I don't know. Thoughts?
Problem is that the thin blue line exists among judges as well. And when it comes to protecting themselves in a misguided effort to, well, we need to keep the credibility of the justice system up. Yeah. And then they protect the idiots.
Right.
When they should protect the system by throwing out the idiots.
Right. Correct.
But I do believe, I mean, all good faith belief and judge's discretion. Those are the two defenses. I filed this at the time with the good faith belief. And then you have, and not only do they have to disprove it, the action has to be that of a normal person screaming outrageous.
Right. Yeah.
And if they can point at 4 people saying it's not outrageous, like HTC, Murder Sheet, if they can point those 4, they are normal people. They don't scream outrageous.
Right. They're normal people. They've got no skin in the game. Hey, did you see, by the way, talking about the I wanted to see if I could bring this up. I sent this to you. I don't know if you've had time. This gets us back on. I mean, I know you've got it. I think you have to go, right?
Well, soon at least.
Yes, yes.
Did you?
And I sent this to you the other day because we were talking about timeline, right? We're talking about the narrative around the leak. So Osbrook is only able to share a certain amount. I wish he could share more, but he did represent, or he was attorney of record during the contempt within the criminal case. So but this is the narrative from Holman. And so I was able to extract this. And what it does is it provides very interesting information about how the leak supposedly happened, who let who know and when. And why did it do that? For the love of all that's holy. As you can see, it's Anya and Kevin. It's Anya and Kevin making all of these that are coming forward. Now, I know you haven't had a chance to look at it, but
I skimmed through it when you sent it to me. It was like 4 a.m. in the morning, and I was headed to work.
Right.
So I must say I skimmed through it. Can't say that I remember any of it.
Right. Well, no, and I mean, I think that this is part of when we get more information and we see what actually happened behind the scenes, who was a part of this, and who wasn't. And Holman here is telling, making a report, putting it down in his police report, which will become what Nick uses to file his information for contempt, that Anya and Kevin were the ones who gave him the files. He did not extract Fortson's phone. He did not extract Mark Robert Cohen's phone. He only got some iCloud crap from Mitch Westerman, who I think is a red herring at this point, that had no photos in it. There's nothing in that transcript that suggests that there were ever any photos shared with anyone. And we were able to confirm that what was entered into evidence was not from the defense as they claimed.
Yeah. I mean, they tried to make it by he's on the stand saying that that's not our thingies. That must be from the defense thingies, and the defense no.
No, and that's
But-
the thing. But that coupled with the in that in and of itself, is that they knew they were in possession of the deposition that was done on August 10th with Holman. They were in possession of the photos that were from the defense. They made the false claim, the state, Nick and Holman made the false claim that we knew it came from the defense, because from the description of Kevin and Anya, who we took their word that this was from Mitch Westerman, they laid it all out. They literally presented them with the story, but they don't have any evidence of that. And when he got on the stand, and here's the thing that people need to understand: prosecutors cannot come in and present something that they know to be false. They cannot do that. And that is what happened in this contempt hearing, which was it was a disservice to the defense counsel. But my God, Mr. Allen is sitting here and they have the balls to bring this thing in, right? Yeah. And so it's, it's a lot. And I think that I know that all I shared this, but I think people need to be really critical about that period of time, because here's the thing. People are like, what can we do? What can we do? What can we do? Right? What we can do is independent of the post-conviction, which got derailed, but is still ongoing in Crank Universe. Outside of, I'll get to you in a minute, DB, but that it can be filed, and information for contempt can be filed separate and apart from any appeals or any post-conviction. So that is a mechanism that could literally be filed next week if there is somebody who is going to file it. And that is important, in my opinion, to start correcting the record. Right? Because when you write a motion to the court, it's a conversation with the court, but it's also a conversation with the public. Yeah. It just is.
Yeah. But it also, another roadmap, that can happen now. If the decision is favorable to Rick, then they can start file motions.
Yeah.
Every interview.
Yeah. Every book that was written that claims that Nick was at a barbecue when he got the news of this catastrophic leak that was not. So DB, yes, Nick cited to Mitch's affidavit, which is, but the thing is that it's not, it's virtually irrelevant, because the information filed in January didn't even cite to it cited to the Franks motion, which was another whole kettle of fish. So that in and of itself was a false representation to the court, because they didn't present anything from the Franks motion, which was fucking weird. Why would you do that? Right? Why would you do that? But
because everybody involved reckoned as soon as Rick got convicted, the interest will die down. Now, of course, it has lowered, but that's why I do the reading of the transcript.
Yes,
maybe not every Saturday, but almost every Saturday, because the information needs to be out there, even though it's not in the big algorithm anymore. It's out there.
Yeah.
And again, if the appeal is favorable, then all of a sudden everybody will start talking about it in the big terms again, and all of a sudden new people will come in and say, oh, I wonder what this is, and then they can go back in time.
Yeah, exactly. So anyway, I don't even know why we're here, but we're here. And Mandy, I sent it to his DM. I DM'd it on X. Sorry, I haven't really been paying attention to chat. Bob. Oh God, Bob's gonna get on here, and then I'm gonna have to talk for another 5 hours. Oh shit. And I'm gonna have to talk for another 5 hours.
Yo,
Ooh, ooh, ooh.
Hey,
Why am I
hey,
hearing?
Bob.
what's up,
Hey
man?
yo!
What's up, Andy? How you guys
I've never
doing?
actually talked to, despite the vast due process conspiracy group that we have going, I've never actually spoken to you, Bob. Hi.
Oh, no, hi. Yeah, it's long
No,
overdue.
me and
Long-
Bob have been on the same stream once or twice.
Yeah, I came
Good.
on over at your house, Nick, when you were.
Yeah, you did. Yeah, my one of my fundraisers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, right. Yes, yes, yes. Well, welcome. Yes, it's an
Well,
early morning over here.
I
And
know.
we-
I opened my eyes, slept in a little bit. I had a
Oh,
long weekend.
It's almost 6 p.m. here, and it's dark
Well,
outside. I
we
live up
lost-
north.
We lost an hour over the weekend, so it
Yeah,
was
you did.
pushed
Yeah.
everything back. And I had a long weekend for an old man. It was a lot of late nights. So
oh dear. Wow.
yes, yeah.
Oh,
So I was
so you
recovering.
slept in.
I did, and I woke up and I saw you all were live. I'm like, what?
Mm.
So I was like, all right.
Yeah. Well,
You guys
we
out?
still haven't gotten to the thing we were supposed to talk about, to nobody's surprise.
Sounds like
Look.
one of my lives.
Yeah.
Look, I was, but I think we've really
Yeah.
covered some ground here. I think that we've shown that there's some people out there spreading just straight bullshit about the Delphi case, and I think that one of the things that Bob we were talking about was obviously the disinformation and the manure spreader of it all, and kind of what's happened with hidden true crime, and my direct sort of analog to Murder Sheet. And we don't need to get into all of that. We don't. But I mean, I've never been shy about my position as a journalist, being able to take the piss out of them, because that's what I do. I know my gig. So. But what we've seen is how this is sort of marrying up and circling the wagons, and the disinformation that has borne out from having no transparency in court. Now that it's over with and everybody's doing their, I used this in the live the other day at their dry tug, sort of meet and greets at Crime Con and Hoosie Poops, right?
Yeah.
But while the appeal is pending, and while the cranks are working post conviction or whatever with the information that they have, Osbrook and I are obsessed with contempt.
Yeah.
Thoughts? Has he talked to you about contempt, against the idea of contempt against Nick McClellan and Jerry Holman in their contempt case against the defense team?
Yeah, he has. I talked to Michael quite a bit. So yeah, he is that's been his latest passion project, trying to really establish the fact that there was contempt. And I'm always like, well, what are you implying? You know what I'm saying? Like, I'm always asking him flat out, like, I'm like, are you implying that? Because my thought on the thing from the beginning, all right, from a defense attorney's perspective, and I obviously communicate with Andy and Brad, and at the time, is that there is no set of circumstances in which defense lawyers handling the double homicide of two little girls pre-trial would ever want crime scene photos of those girls out to the public before trial, because there is no
It's bad enough
that's going to
bad
help.
enough at trial because it's so prejudicial.
It's mad. I mean, we fight in motions in limine to limit the amount of crime scene photos, because in terms of proof of death evidence, okay, that's fine, but beyond that, it's strictly to really get the mindset of the jurors into an emotional place as opposed to following the law and the evidence, which is not where we want them. It's not where we want. So from the get, like the concept that the defense had leaked these out intentionally was so offensive to me that it just didn't add up. And I had been able to talk to Andy, and like Andy is.
I'm just going to keep talking. I just have to get my plug.
Yeah, Andy's just a forthright guy. Like Andy's been practicing for a long, long time, and Andy is a very well respected attorney, and he has never had any kind of issues with any disciplinary committees ever. I mean, the guy, he's been practicing for decades, and he's a passionate lawyer, and there was just no part of me that thought that there was anything that was beyond what they said had happened, which was, if that even happened.
Right.
I mean, that's
part.
Right. Because I'm like, in the way that the Murder Sheet tried to, turn in like the Prosecutor podcast with their like, all of these photos should be kept in a locked vault. I'm like, what the fuck? This is a criminal case where like I've tried cases where, there's been some pretty gruesome crime scene photos, and we always have a war room, and in our war room, we have the evidence out because we're working the case, and I'm not like locking down my room, and them trying to turn this into a thing where like that's what the norm should be when it's not the norm. And they put on evidence when the thing finally went to hearing, and Gull had to say, well, I don't find them in contempt, but ultimately, those witnesses were like, look, these are the normal things that happen in the course of trying a case. Like there was nothing untoward about it, but that other part of it. And when you kind of look at the Murder Sheet, and without me even getting into the hit pieces they did on me, because frankly, I don't give a shit. They're not serious people.
But 1 second though, Bob, I think that I think it's right. We have to look at them because here in Holman's report, I don't know if you saw it. I know it that Osbrook was able to share a couple things. I went through them. All Eyes has it up there. The problem is, Bob, we can't talk about this contempt without talking about Murder Sheet because they are literally, and I'm not kidding, literally the only people who provided photos to Holman. They didn't get anything from Cohen. They didn't get anything from Mr. Fortson. And they have a bullshit affidavit from fucking Mitch Westerman, who is a red herring to me at this point. Go ahead with the Murder Sheet.
Yeah, I mean, with those folks, it was, without getting into the Lauren thing at all, I've tried to avoid that, but I'm listening to it,
They're of a piece.
Yeah, I'm seeing the content of it out there from various creators, but as far as the Murder Sheet went, like it became obvious to me early. Because I had a loud voice. I was
what I
was the one out there calling bullshit on this, like early. From the moment that Rick Allen was arrested, and they did not, before I even knew about the safekeeping, because that didn't become a thing until we knew about it. But when they sealed the probable cause affidavit, I'm like, what is going on here? That is not how this thing works, So when it finally gets released, and in the interim they had arrested Koberger, and that probable cause affidavit was, to me, relatively thorough police work. When you're looking at it and how they came about to getting him under arrest, and then in comparison, when they unseal Rick's, I'm looking at it, I'm like, this is mere presence. This is mere presence at the bridge. And a guy that it like went in and volunteered the information. And they have an unspent casing, which they're claiming matches, which those two things, are not it, not in a double
Yeah.
homicide.
Yeah, I mean, and the safekeeping order ex parte should be an appeals issue.
Oh, it is.
That
It is.
that result from that person who claimed that her opinion regarding matching trace stuff on a spent casing and a cycle cartridge and got a match.
Mhm.
That's so ridiculous. And she claimed I believe it was in open court, correct me if I'm wrong, that her opinion is as accurate as a paternity test.
Yeah.
And that made me buy a new computer mouse because it went into the wall.
Yeah,
Right.
no, she said that, and she also said she's never wrong. Like those two things were stunning when she said those two things. And not only did the paternity test thing get testified to, it was repeated. So by another witness. And I think it was either Holman or
insanely bad. I mean,
it was Holman. So I mean, with that deposition, woo! I mean, Holman told the whole tale in that 200-page deposition that Sleuthy and Teresa went through. You know, I think that more information like that is critical, and that's why I'm such, you know, I'm so on board with Osbrook about the contempt stuff. Were you at the hearing, Bob? The contempt hearing?
Yeah, I was at all the hearings.
Okay, so let me ask you this question, because the proposition that we've gotten to, and the good faith belief that Osbrook already has, and is that what was presented at trial was not what came from the defense. And so what we've been able to establish, or what Osbrook has been able to establish, is, and it's in the transcript, is that Holman got up there with his stupid face, and Nick got up there with his grease fire hair, and said, you know, how did you know that these were from the defense? Well, I knew they were from the defense because the photo had rectangles on it, and we used ovals.
Right.
Guess what, folks? Andrew Baldwin, Brad Rosie, both confirmed. Andrew Baldwin to me, Rosie to Osbrook. We didn't use any redactions. So that on its face, when they came over, Bob, and showed defense, did you see? Like, I don't even know what the hell's actually in Exhibit 5.
Yeah.
Did you see?
Well, I remember it came out during the hearing that they didn't use that particular shape on their pictures. And it was like, I think it was Brad. Like, Brad was the one who was like, I think it was in the hearing, or it came out afterwards. I can't remember at this point, but it came out soon thereafter that in terms of the photos themselves, that the ones that they tendered in that contempt hearing as exhibits were not photos that were ever in the possession of the defense, because they simply weren't photographs that they had marked up in that way. Right. So, and you know, I mean, look, they're officers of the court, and neither Brad or Andy are going to go into that courtroom or any courtroom and lie about something like that. I mean, like, lawyers take that officer of the court thing very seriously. And
some,
yeah, and I think that some lawyers, you know, really just are of the mindset that, you know, cause like the concept of them calling, and I'm saying both Nick McClelland and Judge Gull calling two licensed attorneys liars in open court was so hard for me to stomach. I couldn't believe it when I was sitting in there. Like, I remember leaving and calling Allison, and I'm like the judge is like in McClelland are calling these guys liars in open court. And I don't understand how that's happening. Like, everything that happened in that case from the beginning all the way through trial, has been inexplicable. I've never seen anything like it. I mean, Allison and I, that Garcia case that we tried in Omaha, they wanted us off the case. It was one of the common threads that I had with Andy and Brad. I'm like, look, we had a very similar experience, except we were pro hoc, you know. So it's really easy to pull your license when you're pro hoc out of state. These guys are licensed in the state of Indiana, so it was a much more, it should have been at least a much more difficult process to get them off the case, as opposed to that thing that Gull did, which again was like a stunning set of circumstances. I had never seen anything like that. I was sitting in there we were all sitting in there in the gallery for an hour plus while that thing, and I'm talking about the day that, you know, they withdrew from the case.
Oh God.
And, you know, and she comes out on the bench and says that bizarre thing, like an unseen set of circumstances or whatever it was. And I'm like, what is going on? Like I like in a case like this, where you're that deep in, two defense attorneys just aren't pulling up camp and dipping, you know, like that's not happening. Like there was something massive going on behind the scenes, which obviously we all got to see as they continued to litigate that part of it. You know, when we get to see the emails that were going back and forth, and you know, you talk about a lack of due process really for Richard Allen in terms of his lawyers, but that thing, that when it went down and the way that it went down with no notice, there was no hearing set, there was nothing. Like you go into that courthouse that day thinking you're getting one thing and you get something completely different. And it was just shocking. It was like the whole thing has been shocking. So when you, to your point, Andy, when you look at everything in the totality of the circumstances, how it all went down from beginning to end, you have to reach the conclusion that the man was railroaded, you know, that they did everything in their power to get this guy convicted. They realize, you know, and I say it all the time on my lives in terms of the confessions, when you're sitting objectively as a prosecutor and you're looking at this evidence that you've had for 5 years, in terms of the time that they finally arrested somebody on it, nothing had changed. They didn't have any new evidence. This was the same shit that had been there since Richard Allen went and spoke to Dan Doolin, right? So they had all of this. They had that spent casing, and if you're a prosecutor looking at it, you're sitting there on a double homicide. You're thinking, all right, well, this isn't enough. Okay. And so it becomes incumbent upon the prosecution, in my estimation, that they absolutely needed Rick to start confessing in jail. That was, for them, that was the linchpin in the case.
Their first goal was to
start doing that.
Their first goal was to get him to snitch. And when they discovered, shit, he actually doesn't know these people.
Right.
This, as we said an hour and a half ago, there's no big conspiracy here. It's one person starts to lie, and then it snowballs.
Right.
That's all. But one thing that keeps, because I read all the receipts and stuff a while ago. Judge got what yes, here you can have expenses for that and not for that. There was a pattern in there that I've never seen before. Is that she approved of, you can have money for that and you can have money for that, and then half of them she didn't allow to testify. That's draining of resources. So just so she can say, but I gave you money for those. Yeah, but you didn't allow them to testify.
Right.
And that's that for me shows beyond, I mean, besides everything else, that's planned.
Right. It feels, yes, when you put it that way, it feels very deliberate. I mean, I don't know if it was, but, you know,
and I really wanted to be a fly on the wall when Rick's next set of attorneys, when that one of them went public and said, yeah, we are behind the Frank's motion. I wanted to be a fly on the wall in Judge Gull's, after she had picked new lawyers
Did
That's
they ever
all-
say that though? They only said that afterwards, didn't
after?
they?
Yeah, one of them said it after. I think I don't know what happened afterwards. There are some rumors that he later redacted that statement, but that statement in that interview was so. Oh, I want to be a fly on the wall in Judge Gall's room
Mm-hmm.
when the
Yeah, and
two sets of lawyers.
and Libredo
Agree.
in particular,
Yeah.
Libredo was truly handpicked by Gall.
Yeah.
I mean, Libredo practices in the Allen County Courthouse.
Mm.
He's the public defender,
Mm.
and he's in her courtroom all the
Mm.
time. I mean, he was, when the day came to where Andy and Brad had entered their appearance pro bono, which
Mm.
I thought was the right move. Alice and I were screaming for them to do that because at that point, you know, it kind of erases the problem that may have existed in the mind of Gull in terms of them being Rick Allen's counsel of choice.
Mm.
Because when they're appointed, it's a different situation. You know, you can't run in and say, but you know, you have the argument that through the investigation in the case and them working the case for all that time, they had developed the relationship with Rick Allen. So they were de facto his lawyers of choice. Right. So, but once you entered the pro bono thing, or like, I'm like, okay, I can't wait to see what's going to happen in here. Cause I knew that Brad and Andy were showing up at the courthouse that day. And I know that Libredo and Scremmins were showing up that day. Is their first appearance, right? So I'm sitting back there and I'm wondering, wow, who's going to sit at counsel table? Little shit like that matters, you know. And you know, the story after the fact was, you know, Brad told Andy, we're sitting at the table. You know, we're going to sit at the counsel table. We're not asking anybody. We're just going to go sit there because we're his lawyers. And at that point, Scremmins and Libredo come in and they sit in the back row, and Gull comes out 15 minutes later, so, and she gets on the bench and looks right past Andy and Brad and addresses Libredo. Because I'm also wondering, okay, who's going to be lead counsel here? You know, because I'm already on high alert. You know, I had heard from all kinds of people regarding Libredo in particular, less about Scremmins, a lot about Libredo. And I'm like, wow, this guy has been handpicked literally as a yes man for Gull. And so I'm like, I'm nervous about it. And so when she addresses those two guys and Libredo stands up, I'm like, well, there you go. You know, this is where we're at. And, you know, I knew immediately, and it's during that same hearing where I believe that she tells Libredo if he wants to have a hearing on the Franks, that, you know, she'll happily give him one, something to that effect.
Yeah.
And where Andy has been begging for a hearing for months at that point. You know, so you just like all of it, again, in the totality of the circumstances, you just can't, if you're looking at it objectively, you can't look at it and say, this is how a normal case operates.
Right.
Because it's not, it's not how it works. And I had just never seen anything like it. And then ultimately, and DB made a great point. And he said in the main resource, going to talking about the drainage of resources that Nick was talking about, is time. Those two guys being stripped of the time, wherein they're of the mindset that Rick Allen is not going to survive on this planet to make it to trial. That forced them to go to trial much earlier than they otherwise would have. Because they're sincerely concerned about Rick Allen's life. You know, which again, if you're looking at it objectively, that wasn't a crazy thing to think. That wasn't like some conspiracy shit. It seemed like everything that they were doing was.
So it was set up, but it was set up that way. So now that we've seen documents, and so now, you know, and Nick and I talked about the, you know, the safekeeping and the sort of origin of that. Well, we know that it's all bullshit. Aside from the legal bullshit, we know that from that, what's his name? Jerry Holman's deposition, that he said, we waited about a week and then we went up there because that way to Westville, We waited a week to say, hey, he's had some time now. I mean, he literally says it and All Eyes has the transcripts up there or the transcript of the depot. They went up there to squeeze him. So don't fucking blow smoke up my ass, Judge Diener, with this. It doesn't make it. You can't have it both ways. They said what they were going to do. They went up there and they tried to do it. They realized the guy didn't know shit or whatever, and they left him there.
Yeah.
And so it was by design.
Yeah.
And it didn't right. It's out of their mouths.
And also in the first safekeeping hearing to get the safekeeping removed, McClellan says in that hearing, don't remember the exact quote, is that we still believe Rick has information about others or something of that effect.
Did
and
you
I'm
say
like,
that?
no, to that effect.
Okay. I
Don't remember. I haven't read that in a couple of months since I started reading the transcript, but I know it's in there. I believe it's must be in number 4, I think, in the first safekeeping hearing to get it removed. That McClellan somehow says something to that effect, which kind of took me back a bit because wait a minute.
It took me back
because
too.
remember the
I
interview?
Delphi under the impression that I was going to be hearing a motion for them to let bail, meaning they were going in, and I was really excited about this hearing because theoretically I was going to finally be hearing the whether or not they had any other evidence, because the shit that they put in that probable cause affidavit wasn't enough. That wasn't enough to keep him in custody, in my estimation, and it wasn't enough to move forward on a trial. So I thought that was going to be a mini trial in the sense that the state was going to have to present additional evidence, only to come to find out that morning that they had withdrawn that motion and they decided to do the safekeeping hearing. And, you know, and I had talked to Andy after the fact, and I'm like, you know, and I think I talked to him about it on one of the interviews I had with him. I'm like, what was the thought process on that? And they felt rushed in that sense, in terms of having that particular hearing. And they really wanted to make moves to try to get Rick out, you know, because they knew what was going on, but not to the extent of what they knew later when they actually got the videos. And I'll never forget the concept of when Brad is, I forget who he had on the stand. It may have been Gallipo, the former warden over there. And, you know, and he's asking him about the camcorders. And, you know, when I sat there, like in the gallery, which is such a surreal situation for me, like sitting in a gallery, kind of watching a full trial without being the participant. And I'm sitting there just trying to keep my mouth shut, because I you know, I have a tendency to talk out loud when shit that just blows my mind is happening. But when this testimony comes out, they're taping Rick 24/7, including that when his attorneys are showing up, that they're turning his chair to a window in order for them to be able to see Rick's face. And then they're filming the entire interaction between attorneys and their client. Was so offensive to me that I couldn't believe it. And then Gallipo unequivocally in that hearing said that particular camcorder did not have sound, which I'm like, when again, I always would call Allie. I'd be like, all right, have you ever heard of, you remember those little handheld anchors? Did any of those not have a fucking microphone?
I mean, what the, give me a break.
And then we come to find out at trial, when literally when Brad is going to play those videos of them transporting Rick to whoever it was, to Walla, or they're moving him anywhere within the prison, and they're following him around with the camcorder, and Brad's about to start playing the videos, and Gull asks the question, do they have sound? And Brad's like, they do. And I'm like, what? I'm like, wait a second. Gallipo was on the stand testifying that those videos did not have sound. So that causes a whole delay. So because Gull didn't think they had sound either, based on the testimony from Gallipo on the stand. And so they have to take time. I think we took a half an hour to 45-minute break in order for Max, their young intern, to be able to recreate these videos in terms of the ones that they were going to show and pull it so that they didn't have sound, because she was not going to allow them to be played with sound. So it was just like, it was one thing after another in this case that just, like I kept thinking, all right, like Gull is just a stateside judge, and she's just, she's not a good judge, and whatever she's doing here in terms of, like every decision and things were typically, like everything that they filed didn't require a hearing, but certainly many of the things that they filed required a hearing. And I just didn't understand how she was operating the docket for that case in terms of knowing that this thing was barreling towards trial, and just the things that she was doing in terms of time limitations on a defendant in a case where he's being charged with 2 homicides of 2 young girls. It just, if it doesn't get overturned on appeal, and I'm of a different mindset than Michael on this, Osborough, like I think if it's properly written, and if they flesh out all the issues, and there are many issues, that I think that it's going to get he's going to get another trial based on that, and it's.
What do you think of the chronic claim?
How hard it is to do,
What do you think of the chronic part of it? Do you think that's going to be, because that's the safekeeping, right?
Yeah. I don't know if Stacy and Mark are going to put it in there. They should. I think that Michael's exactly right. I think his analysis of it is exactly right. I don't know if it'll be in the direct appeal. It should be. I don't know if it will be, because it's like, it's got such a technical feel to it in terms of that they violated this guy's rights, and it's the way that statute reads, in that Rick would have had the opportunity, had he been present during this hearing, to say, well, if it's not you worried about me doing something to other people in terms of harming them, and you're simply concerned about me, well, I'm good. I'm good. I'll stay where I'm at. Like, I'll take my chances here. And he wasn't afforded that opportunity. And then we know what happened after in terms of what went on in Westville. I mean, it's a powerful argument. It really is.
So does it have to be preserved though, Bob? So I guess my question is, whatever they're going to go with, I think that the filings by Stacey and Mark say the third party thing is going to be huge, because, oh shit, man, somebody actually gets to put on a defense. What? Obviously. But does it have to be preserved then in an appeal, or do you forego that if you don't for a post conviction?
Yeah, I think it does. I think they even though it's been filed and Michael drafted it and it got filed, and so there's a record of it, obviously. But once the direct appeal hits, I mean, if they don't raise it, I think it would be considered waived. So, like, I mean, to me, even if they make it issue 15, 15, it's got to be in there. I think it should be issue 1. I think you start, like, I think I'd like to see the appeal written in a way that it's starting chronologically and going through the whole thing, because the issue of whether or not the fact that they were removed from the case was cured by way of the Indiana Supreme Court reinstating the case, I think maybe on its face does, but in reality it doesn't, because they were stripped from being able to try that case for months and do any work on it at all the while the fear of Rick's safety still is imminent, and they're still in the position when they get reinstated, they believe firmly that they have to try this case as soon as possible, because Rick's not going to survive till trial, whether it's by his own hand or something more nefarious. Either way, that was thought to be the goal. In terms of
once they were reinstated, they got all the knowledge about what I call the Haldol poisoning. And that, which goes back to the safekeeping order. Without the safekeeping order, if that's gone, everything in that prison is gone. It's fruit of the poisonous tree.
Is it?
I mean, in theory, it should be. Whether or not the appellate court would agree with that concept, I mean, because technically, I hear what you're saying, Nick.
Yeah,
you know, that he shouldn't have been there, and you know, had the things taken place in the way that they should have, in terms of due process. That you know,
Right.
but for that, he would not be there. Therefore, anything that he said or did in Westville should be inadmissible as fruits of the poisonous tree, because it shouldn't have had. It's the same concept as a bad search.
Yeah,
right?
but as I said earlier, I don't remember because safekeeping order is a loophole for the state. Because when Rick was admitted into the first admit, he was they count A, B, C, D, E, so a 5-grade scale, and he was on the second worst. If his condition worsened, which it did in late February, early March, when he's told, voila, there's shit going on here. That is a worsening of condition, which had not for the safekeeping order, he would have been automatically transferred to another place with better equipment for people with the worst, as the E condition. But the safekeeping order is that loophole that made them keep him there.
Well, that's I mean, but it was really Gull that kept.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah,
he was getting better treatment.
Yeah,
100%. Well, and they put
Oh
on.
my God.
I mean, that's the hearing wherein Gull's calling Brad a liar, and Nick's calling Brad a liar in open court, and he wasn't lying about any of the conditions.
I mean, everything comes back to Judge Gull.
Right. It all.
She had the option of doing right, follow the law, and she chose not to.
Yeah, and everything that happened when they finally transferred him and kept him in cast for the trial, everything existed at the point that Brad and Andy did the first safekeeping hearing. In terms of, again, in that first hearing, they had the sheriff and or the I think it was the sheriff of Cass County sitting on the stand, and he's like, well, yeah, because they had built a new facility there. He's like, yeah, we could handle them. I mean, we don't want them.
Right.
We can handle them, you know, and so like she had everything that she needed. I mean, when I walked out, if you go back and I did like a live, like walking out of the courthouse, I walked out thinking, all right, well, they're going to get him out of there. You know, they're going to transfer him out. I mean, she's got the ability.
Yeah, she has an option, right? She has an option, for Christ's sake.
Well, and you know, when you think of it from a lawyer's perspective, we need to be able to communicate meaningfully with our clients and preparing for a trial, right? And the fact that they were 2 hours away, like Andy, I think, was even a little further away from Westville, and the fact that Cass was basically across the street from Brad's office, just everything that they did, when you look at it on its face, just stinks of a railroad job. Like, there's no other way to look at it.
No.
Like, and to talk about the third party culprit stuff, Nick hadn't filed shit until Gull says, hey, you know, that third party stuff, Nick, you might want to file a motion on that shit. I've never.
Oh my God.
I mean,
just
that's legal. As a judge, you don't get to give legal advice.
I mean, was she lead counsel? You know, was Nick playing second fiddle? I mean, it's like that to me. And you're right, Bob. And I keep trying to hold out hope that my worst fears about humankind, even though I hate most people, can't be true. But then I think about this case and I'm like, Jesus wept. That is true. You know, because of situations like this. And because she was telegraphing, I was going through some transcripts. I don't know what it was, but she's basically, you know, giving Nick objections. I'm like, what is happening? Where am I? Literally, where am I?
That's the part I'm reading right now. Last time I read the Jerry Holman's part in it, which brought out Arthur Holman, his third cousin by inbred. Yeah. so I wear a face mask and stuff. And I read all Jerry Holman's part as Arthur Holman, but you can call him A. Holman.
I have
But
an
that's the
actual
point.
folder on my
Yeah.
desktop that says butthole man. I mean, listen, I'm petty AF, but you know, I mean, at this point, no. So bad.
Bob, have you seen me wear that mask?
No, I haven't
Andy,
seen-
have you seen me? Hold
I'm
on.
afraid. Oh my God. So Bob, I do want to talk about though this. And I want to talk about contempt. I don't know how much time you have, but because it fits into what you're talking about and what you talked about when they came back. Oh God, wait, hold on.
Hello, my name is Arthur Holman, but you can call me A. Holman.
You're a
third cousin by
Bolchinian.
inbred marriage.
Wow.
You're a
Wow.
Bolchinian, right?
Jesus, Nick, you've got real balls, man. You got
Man,
real
oh
balls.
man. Okay, so that's a Bolchinian. Got it.
Yep.
Nick, I can't watch you. We're doing
I mean,
this.
I have to do these kind of things because just reading the damn thing, the
Oh,
transcript,
No, I'm all
is
for it.
taking a mental toll on me. Just
I can't-
reading the damn thing. So I have to do
Yes,
something to perk it up a bit.
100%.
Well, that's
100%.
trick.
That's a
That-
bold
Be very,
Bolchinian.
very glad I don't have the nose for that mask.
Oh
Um,
my. Okay. All right. All right. We've gone blue. We've gone blue, folks. Earmuffs for the kids. So Bob was talking about removing the defense and losing all of that time, and DB made that point. Well, then they lost more time, and this is my pet project right now, is this holding Nick and Holman's feet to the fire in this contempt situation, right? Because when they got back on the case, lo and behold, at the end of January, you have this information that for contempt that is written like it's so full of bullshit, but he predicates it on this contempt on the images in the leak were from the Franks memorandum. And I'm like, well, wait a minute. That's not what they testified to at trial. And so, Osbrook was like, that's something in and of itself. But then you go to the actual police report and you start showing that, and this is where talking about the murder sheet is, you cannot remove them from this. I'm sorry, you can't. And they keep trying to say that they were not a part of this. But according to Jerry Holman, in his report, which he filed, that then they took into court and presented as fact, that this was a leak from Mitch Westerman to Fortson to Cohen to murder sheet. And the thing is, there's no evidence at all showing, literally no evidence at all that was presented from the state that shows a direct connection at all. And the only nexus, if you will, is in Anya and Kevin's story that they presented fully formed on October the 5th. And they had apparently worked out, because again, I can only go by what they're telling me. And what they're telling me in this, I'm just going to read the upfront here. And this is from Jerry Holman. Friday, 10/6, contacted by Anya Kane, Kevin Greenlee. They confirmed the information they received from Cohen was coming from Fortson. So they had this case cracked. Woo! They had this case cracked, right? They knew exactly what the fuck was going on. Miss Kane told me that Mr. Cohen had sent them screenshots of the conversation with Mr. Fortson. They both told me that Mr. Cohen was willing to talk to the police. He sent them everything he had to turn over to me. I made arrangements to meet with them on Monday at the state police post. So they meet with Anya and Kevin on the 9th. I met with Kane and Greenlee at the Indiana Police Post in Lafayette, conducted an audio and videotaped statement. Where is it? I want it. The following is a summary of the interview. Miss Kane and Mr. Greenlee gave me copies of screenshots of Mr. Cohen and Mr. Fortson's communication about the Delphi double. They also gave me a copy of the photos that were sent to them by Mr. Cohen. Okay. A copy of all of the documents given will be attached to this incident report. They told me Mr. Cohen thought that because they thought Mr. Fortson was an attorney. That is not what he even said. So that's bullshit. I don't even know where that's coming from. Or was getting information from an attorney or someone working with Mr. Baldwin. They stated that in the messages between Cohen and then blah, blah, blah. So they gave me the contact. So they went through, they believed. So this is all, I need people to understand this part. And all I says this posted, but I need people to understand this part of it is that Miss Kane, Miss Kane, Mr. Greenlee told me that Mitch Westerman, right? So they told Holman that Mitch Westerman was a person that they'd interviewed in the past. They believed the information was being leaked from Mr. Baldwin was coming from Mr. Westerman. Mr. Westerman worked for Baldwin. They provided me with a copy. Bob, I swear to God, my head is going to blow off. They, meaning Murder Sheet, provided me with a copy of Mr. Fortson's Facebook friends, and Mr. Westerman was one of the names on the list that they gave me. What am I missing? Because that's exactly the story that those mother scratchers got up and said in the course of Mr. Allen's trial at a contempt filed against his defense attorneys in order to further interfere with counsel. State interfering with counsel again. So what am I missing? Because there's nothing in here that says Jerry went out and did any legwork. These two had it cracked by the 6th. Am I reading this wrong?
No, I mean the timing of when they finally decide to bring the contempt hearing after they've been reinstated. like when you think about that concept, this is after they go to the Supreme Court of Indiana and they've been reinstated. Then and only then does Nick decide, and I'm using air quotes, does Nick decide to move forward with this contempt hearing again, stripping them of what DB is talking about, time to prepare for a case. And this is, I don't know if they had filed their speedy demand at that point, but I think that either they did or it was close to happening, but they had made it clear that they were making a speedy and they wanted this trial to happen as soon as possible. And for that thing to move forward because the argument was always from all the lawyers that were talking about it, whether it was, Kara and Michael and I and all of them, like this easily could have been handled after the fact. Like you're doing it in the middle of the preparation for a double homicide trial. And if you don't think that you're stripping them of their ability to be able to work on the case, you're full of shit. Because that's exactly what it did. It pulled them away from being able to do the work that they needed to do on the case to prepare it for trial, which is, a massive task. And it was just another example of everything that was being done by the state and that side of it to really fuck Rick Allen over in terms of him being able to get a fair trial. And it's one thing after another. And, the problem that I have with ever being successful with a motion for contempt on Rick is going to be Westerman's affidavit.
Okay.
Bullshit or not.
I got an answer.
Okay. Let me hear it.
My answer is the timeline of how this rolled out, because it's vague as hell, right? It's vague as hell. First of all, he doesn't say when, he doesn't say what, he doesn't attest to anything. On the 14th of, and this is in the document somewhere, on the 14th, Fox the local Fox station had a sit down with Murder Sheet about the leak. The next day, I think it was a day after, Mr. Westerman's then wife goes down to the local police department and says, I need some extra patrols because I'm concerned because of the bloodlust, right? That she's concerned about her 2 children. The 2 days later, Nick signs he signs a weird ass, just sort of amorphous affidavit. 2 days later, he does this. The thing that, and that may not mean anything legally, but I think that they have still, based on the evidence presented, there is no evidence tying the photos that he said he took to what was presented and is living in evidence. There's nothing that connects that. I'm not a lawyer. I just play one when I'm talking to my cat over here. But you know, is it not more important to show? Okay, so what if Westerman came out and said, yeah, you know, this is bullshit, whatever. These are not the photos. If we ever get to see Exhibit 5, would it mean anything if he was able to say, those aren't what I took? Or what's your biggest concern about?
To be honest with you, I was a little bit surprised that Westerman wasn't called to the stand during the contempt hearing. Why aren't we hearing from the main guy?
Yeah.
He's the culprit, allegedly.
Right.
Why was he not called to the stand for him to get up there and testify? Yeah, this is how it went down. Andy was in his back office. You know, the Warren room was open. I snuck in there. I took, you know, a bunch of screen grabs of a computer screen. And then, you know, that's what I got. And then this is what I did with them. Like why that part of the story was never introduced at that hearing is beyond me. And, you know, and it leads to exactly what you're saying. I mean, for them not to put on Mitch Westerman to make the admissions when he had been, you know, he'd been arrested. You know,
and ask for a jury trial, which is beautiful.
Right.
I mean,
you know, I don't know. It's
so you think that's a hitch in the giddy up with my
I think
my
it could
project
be, unless you're bringing his ass in, unless you're going to subpoena him. And you know, and I've asked Andy, and I think I've asked him on lives, you know, about this whole thing and his relationship with Mitch, and you know, and he's like, I really trusted Mitch. Mitch was a friend for a long time, and he worked with me. And you know, just to be clear, like Mitch was not a lawyer, but he's a guy that I think he went to law school, but I don't think that he was practicing, if I remember correctly. But you know, Andy always felt that he was somebody that he could talk to about strategies on cases that he was trying. You know, he was that guy, you know, like, totally allowed. Like Allison and I talk to anybody we want about trial strategies. Like that's like more brains are better than 2 brains always, you know, and people may come up with things that you didn't think of. So it's always good to have more eyes on it and more brains on it and you know, get input from other people or us throwing like our potential theories that we're thinking about bringing forward at trial. You know, would you buy this? Is this something that you think that would land with the jury? Whatever. All those kinds of conversations are completely fine. I was saying that the whole time, you know, so it's you had the murder sheet just putting out just factual lies. I mean, lying about me being a paid shill for the defense was so fucking ridiculous that, you know, and it was like, do I waste my time like filing a defamation lawsuit against these 2 people? Or do I stay the course? You know, do I decide to then shift my focus to them and take it off of Rick Allen, because that was right in the middle of it all. And I didn't bite. I wasn't going to bite on it. I was going to stay the course. I was going to continue to talk about the case. I was going to continue to read all the pleadings, and Allison and I were going to go through it, and we were going to keep pointing out, this is fucked up. This is fucked up. This is fucked up. This is not the way it goes. And, you know, at the end of the day, you know, when it all played out, and more information kind of leaks out from different areas about, because my whole thing was those two would send me an email 8 minutes before they were going to drop an episode saying, hey, do you want to respond to this? And the first hit piece they did on me, Alice and I were in Mexico on vacation, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'd love to come on the show, and like me, I'm always up for the debate. I'm up for the debate.
Yeah.
But those two, and it should speak volumes to people about who they are, would never have me on a lie. They would never engage in the conversation with me because they knew how that would end up. I mean, they knew how that would end up. When I'm calling them on their bullshit, they're not going to have answers for it. They're
No.
not, So it was just all of it, the way that it played out, and it was evident, them trying to say that they're objective, but it was clear that they were lackeys for the state. And I'm like, look, if you're stateside, fine, but own it. Don't pretend that you're being objective when you're a lackey for the state and you're pushing their narrative for them. And you're getting on your show pretending like, oh, well, we're super objective. Oh, see, we said something, not horrible about the defense. So look, we're totally objective people. It was all bullshit. And, ultimately, you don't know how that impacts a jury that's going to end up sitting in those chairs. I don't know who may have heard their coverage, but I know that they ended up getting the only juror that ever talked.
Yeah, they sure did. I mean, but I need to say something though about that, because again, journalism is where I come from. That journalists don't send an email 8 minutes before you're going to drop a pre-recorded episode.
Right.
You actively pursue conversation with the person, and it's only after you have exhausted emails, phone numbers, whatever, that and it doesn't have to be over a protracted period of time, but that to me says right there, they are full of shit. And that's the kind of thing that you do when you want to go on and act like you're a journalist and say, well, we reached out for comment. Yeah, right. Bitch, 8 minutes ago, that doesn't count. I'm sorry. You're not. No, that, people, is not how it's done. And that is what lit my hair on fire and got me involved in this stupid case, because they were doing, her claiming to be a journalist, it still makes me want to peel off all of my skin. Seriously, because she's not. So, the way that you all feel about bad lawyering or bad judging, when I see that kind of bullshit, I just, that is not how it's supposed to go. And more people need to understand they are not journalists. They are not honest brokers. And you're right. They are shills. And I'm sorry, but man, oh man, that book is going to be exhibit something at some point. It just is. Because they keep they've written it all down, and so unfortunately, they have to be talked about because they directly impacted this case. Because if not, but for those two jabronis going to Holman with those photos, there would have never been a catastrophic leak. Y'all, you're the ones that gave the photos. Y'all are. Yeah, people were sharing shit even the prosecutor's podcast reached out to Delphi police in January 2023 saying, my God, there's crime scene photos out here. And Lord knows those motherfuckers shit doesn't stink. So, but when you got them coming in hot with all of this evidence, and that's the only one that makes it in, I don't know, man. Doesn't look good, because then you go and you report it to the world. You throw a smoke bomb and you report on it, and you're an integral part of it. Why weren't their asses on the stand? They're the only ones that can tie that evidence. They are. And I'm sorry, I got a little cranked up. I
see what you did there.
But so that's the heat of 1,000 suns that I come with. This is not what they did is not normal. It's not for journalists, nor is it for barred attorneys in Indiana.
Yeah,
Kevin?
I agree, obviously. And as far as those two go, I mean, the thing that disturbs me the most about it is that, and I never listened to any of them, but Ange would always send me, or Sleuthy, one of the two would always send me the transcripts because I'm like, I can't listen to it.
No.
But I would read the transcripts, and it was the full frontal attack on Baldwin in particular, in terms of just outing him as this unethical slimeball lawyer that was leaking these things out, and they unequivocally intimate that Andy did it purposefully.
Yes.
That these things went out purposefully, so that they single-handedly created that narrative.
But Bob, it's in Holman's report, right? So this may as well be a transfer, and that's my point: is that they provided the story. By the 6th, they had Westerman connected to Fortson, connected to Hoodly Poops. I mean, they did it, and they presented this stinking package. And Holman's like, "You bet, let's see that," and didn't do shit to investigate.
Well,
Simply
yeah, I mean, like you've
did
got
not.
the aspect of these two lawyers that have done what few lawyers do, and in recent vintage cases, the only two cases that I can think of wherein the defense put forth their entire theory of defense
Yep.
before trial was Karen Reed and Richard Allen's case, where you had the motion to dismiss, wherein
Yep.
the team over there with Karen's case, like throughout the whole conspiracy thing and John being killed in the house or beaten in the house and dragged out. So that's out there for the world, which then creates the divide because people are able to say, oh, well, as opposed to what we're typically hearing, which is just the state's narrative,
Right.
like it's how it's always been. We're always hearing what the state's narrative is in every case. You'll hear that first the cops they'll do their presser, and then you'll get the prosecutor to say something, and they'll put out what their story, their theory of the case and usually the defense just sits there quietly and, they wait until trial, because that frankly is the one thing that we have up our sleeve. We do not have to disclose to the state what our theory of defense is. Right. Obviously, we have to reciprocate with discovery, but in terms of what our theory is going to be, what we're going to go with at trial, and that's not including affirmative defenses and things that you have to file and alibis. Those things you have to put on file, and you have to give notice that you're going to bring that kind of thing. But if you've come up with a theory, as they did in Allen with the third-party culprit stuff, and once that made its way out into the world, in that epic Franks memo, and the whole world's head explodes, and people start reading, and they're like, "Holy shit, this has this has teeth. This seems legitimate to me." And you've got 3 just really well-established, highly respected cops that continued in on that investigation on that thing. Like, I mean, I've become friendly with Kevin Murphy over the years, and Kevin's a fucking amazing guy. And, I mean, he's just a dude who, like, there's no part of that guy that's bullshit, so, and it's the same with Todd Click. And then without it, and I know, Andy, you were digging into the Todd Click thing, but him getting arrested right before the trial was, I mean, it was just symptomatic of everything else that's going on. It's like everything that they needed to do to try to discredit the concept of this third party culprit thing, they did. Every single thing that they did was with that in mind, in terms of trying to discredit Andy and Brad as being a couple of flakes. Right. And, and then obviously trying to make Click look like he's some kind of like shithead cop and that he can't be trusted. All of these things were done in such a way to really discredit that concept, because they realized how problematic it was. You've got Elvis Fields. I mean, I don't know how the confessions of a man who is in psychosis are viable and reliable, but a guy who has just talked to the cops, who's now being driven home, who gets out of the car and then turns around and talks to the very cop that he was just being interviewed by, and says this thing about his DNA being on one of the girls, but if he has an explanation for it, will he be okay?
Right.
And then to go to his sisters, and then they lie box his sister to make sure that she's not lying about what he told her, you know,
Right.
and she passes that poly.
Right.
Like for those things to not have been introduced at trial are ultimately where I think this thing is going to land in terms of the appeal. I cannot wait for the appeal, for the brief to drop. Like I like talking about like us going through some shit. Like that's
Oh,
going to be our whole mid-December is going to be us like just parsing the shit out of this appeal and going through the issues. Like all of us in the community
Yeah.
be digging in, and you know, I'm ready for it. I can't wait for it. Like from my count, that thing's supposed to drop somewhere December 15th, December 16th, if you look at the timing of it, because they got 20 days. We're talking about Jody and Gull to produce the evidence, and then they get another 5 days to file their updated, notice of transcript completion of transcript. And then they've got their time to get it done, so which to me lands right in, they've got the 30 days to get it done from that date, which I think is right around the 15th or 16th of December. That's when we should have the brief right in there.
And
Because I don't.
do you think that'll go down like that, or you think we're
do.
going to be into January?
I don't. I
Oh,
think I really don't. I think that the appellate court at that point, because I'm sure Stacy and Mark are fleshing out every other aspect of that brief, and then if it's a thing where they're kind of waiting on the exhibits from the Franks, and they need that beyond what issues they were going to be raising with respect to that issue anyway, because like the nuts and bolts of that, they don't necessarily need in terms of the legal argument, they don't need the exhibits per se,
right.
But in terms of getting into the nitty gritty with that, they're going to need to flesh that out in the brief. So, they'll need them eventually, which is frustrating because, I'm like, Andy, just put the shit together and give it to him. Why are we waiting, man? And I love Andy.
Do it.
Just do it. Just hand him over.
Yeah, because I mean, I talked to him, and he's like, he walked him over to Gull's office, and I'm like, well, walk him over to Stacy and do it.
Right.
But I mean, I see that too, though. That I was glad to see that order. I was glad to see that order from Supreme Court saying, get your poop in a pile and do this, because this has been ongoing with the court. But I hope it drops then. I hope that, I think about Mr. Allen in Oklahoma, and talk about trying to deny access to counsel. I know it's post conviction, but wow, I don't think it's a coincidence that they shipped him out of state. It's just, there's too much wrong here. There's too much wrong here. And Nick said it earlier, there doesn't have to be a buttload of people in a room smoking cigars talking about how we're going to do this. Right. That's not the conspiracy. So when people say, well, they want a conspiracy theory. No, bitch, it just needs to be a lie followed by cover.
Right.
Karen Reed, Michael Proctor, on down. Right. So we've seen this before. And I think there, Karen Reed had mere presence, a confession. I hit him, and some weird glass out of nowhere. Richard Allen, I was at the bridge, right? I think I did it. I might have done it. And the magic bullet. It's very similar, and trying to bring people along at that very base level and understand that Gull is Cannoni looks like an angel.
That's what I kept saying. I'm like, you know, when I was covering the Reed case, I'm like, you know, and everybody's screaming about Canoni and her bias. I'm like, oh, y'all have no fucking idea. You have no idea. You have no idea. It's like I would have paid to have Canoni on this case. You know,
Right.
she goal was just unbelievable. Like,
Despite
like
Canoni's flaws, she did everything in the open.
Right.
Yeah.
And ultimately she allowed, to me, what was a more specious third party argument to come in, even though it was through Bowden. You know, I mean, like that was her original thing. But in trial 1, you had Lally do what I call a pre-buttal case, in that he decided to try to get ahead of the defense and he called all those witnesses.
Oh my God.
They ended up not even having to do it through Bowden, which is, you know, like shitty police work type argument. And it's like she was going to allow for it to come in, and it did come in, even with the second trial. Now I'm relieved that they tried it the way that I was hoping that they were going to try it. I was like, stick with the fucking science here, man. Your job is to get a not guilty on this thing. Like you're creating a burden for yourself with all that shit in the house, because you're not going to be able to prove it. You know, like you have the same problems with that. And even though you don't have to prove shit as a defendant, you are creating a de facto burden for yourself when you're saying this is what happened. Right. You know, and it's like the jury's going to expect to hear some evidence about it. So I was relieved the way they tried it the second time, because that was the way I felt that's how you're going to get an acquittal. You know, but with Rick's case, I mean, they were left with nothing. They were stripped with and left with absolutely no defense other than leaning on reasonable doubt, you know, and just trying to pick apart their shit, man. And it's like, it's not how this thing's supposed to work. That's not how fair trial.
And also not being allowed to bring on experts that could testify about the crime scene, not bringing on experts that could contradict the tool mark movement. I mean,
I mean,
they were stripped.
It wasn't even. It was worse than not being able to just bring like Perlmutter on. It was, they couldn't fucking mention of what the crime scene looked like. And I want you to try to think of any case ever where the defense is not allowed to talk about what the crime scene looked like.
Yeah.
You know, I mean,
at the same time as jury's being shown gruesome photos of the girls, but not about the crime scene, because there are photos out there with the sticks in the pool of blood. There are pictures out there. Okay, explain here Rick's confessions with the F3. There's no mention of it at all. You would think, I got started by this van who was 15 minutes later. So I took her to a tree and made her write her own thing with her arm, like the F3 alone just shows no. Rick's confession is a simple crime scene. There's nothing simple about their crime scene. Nothing. I got startled. I slit. And we are talking about 3 people at around 5'4" in a spring flood stream that is fucking ice cold, 3 feet high at least. You don't keep your balance in that. And look at which one is the skinny one, Abby?
Yeah.
5'4", barely 80 pounds, standing up in a
there's no, I mean, they made it sound like, you know, and I'm going to wrap it up because it's been like 3 hours, but to make it sound like the confessions contain some sort of, some sort of knowledge, that white van thing, that didn't even, we don't know exactly where that came from, right? So
He
it's
didn't even say white van. He said van. And
Right.
all of a sudden, they produce this, what his face, Weber, who has lied for 7 years about where he was that day. And all of a sudden, oh, yeah, I was there. And then he lied on the stand saying, yeah, I was there at past. No, you weren't. You were there at 1:45.
Right.
So he lied twice
Yeah.
about. So to this day, nobody knows where Weber was.
And the bigger thing is that Nick put him on knowing
yeah.
that he was going to lie about the timing
Nick
of it.
knew he would lie.
He had to.
And the defense weren't even allowed to have the FBI guy to testify. That guy is a liar.
And that's the Napui gloss up, right? Knowingly put on false information,
Yeah.
which is another motion to correct error. Excuse me.
Yeah.
So, so to wrap up,
Damn.
it's been, I don't know what we came here to do, but I think we did it.
Folks, the timeline doesn't fit.
Right.
Either of the timeline
Right.
does not fit.
Right. I mean,
No eyewitness actually testified. I've never seen a trial where a prosecutor has sets of eyewitness and not asking the question, is that the guy you saw that day? Because Nick McLeland was scared of the answer. And
Yeah,
then, but the defense could have asked. They don't have a fucking burden of proof.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
The prosecution couldn't risk them being truthful, and the defense couldn't risk them being liars.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the only counter that I'd have to that were I would have contemplated asking those witnesses is that they had the ability to depose them.
Yeah.
So they would have, had they got on the stand and positively ID'd Rick, wherein during the deposition they had asked if Rick Allen was the person they saw, showing a picture, and they had said no. Obviously, you could impeach him with that, but you know, like it's because we had a similar thing in the Garcia case, wherein they went post arrest with a 6-pack of pictures of people that you know, to the people that were witnesses of the first crime that had taken place in 2008, and none of them positively ID'd our guy Anthony Garcia. And as a matter of fact, many of them ID'd a different person. And you know, they get to trial and it's the same shit. They put them on the stand, and no one in that courtroom pointed at Rick and said, that's the guy I saw that day. You know, and for us, we didn't have the ability to be able to depose those folks. So that's that situation, Nick, where you're talking about. Not only do we not have a burden, but we don't necessarily know what they're going to say.
Yeah. Don't ask a question you don't know the answer to.
Exactly.
Which is different between prosecutor and defense.
Right.
Because if the prosecutor, he can, as I said, Nick couldn't risk them telling the truth. I have no idea who that guy is. I saw a tall boy in his 20s with puffy hair.
Yeah, I mean, like, and my thing has always been, and I cannot impress upon you how much it took me aback the first time I laid eyes on Rick Allen. When they were bringing him back. We were in the Carroll County Courthouse, and they used to bring him from behind. There was a little room behind the gallery, and they'd walk him through. And the first time I turned around, I was like, I couldn't believe how small.
It's the first thing you
unequivocal. Like, he's a short guy like that.
Yeah.
For there not to be one witness statement that the guy that they saw was the first descriptor was him being short, I knew they weren't talking about Richard Allen, because that would be the very first thing that you would say. Like he is that short to where it would be the first thing that you're saying to describe him. He's really short. He's like my height, you know, for a man. So like the fact that that didn't take place with any of the witnesses speaks volumes to me, because he's that diminutive. He really is. He's that small. And it's like you look in the courtroom, he was like a little Laputan standing amongst the trees in the well of the courtroom, because he's just just a noticeably short man, to where it would be one of the primary descriptors, if not the first thing that they say. And not one person said that the guy that they saw was short.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I don't give a shit about the face and the clothes. Give me the one thing that is unequivocal, which is somebody's height. Yeah, the guy was like, you know, whatever, like even a range 5'8" to 5'11".
Right.
Like Rick, like no one's confusing Rick
No.
Allen for a guy that's 5'8".
No. Before I have a picture I want to share, but what's the first thing you say about Dave?
He's short.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
guy? Yeah.
The guy in
He's,
the middle. Yeah.
he's
Yeah.
wee. Yeah.
Yeah. He's 5'8".
Right.
Are you kidding?
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right. Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's relative.
Now
right?
imagine 3 or 4 inches shaved off that guy.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
Imagine the top of Dave's head is around under my shoulder.
Right.
Right. So he could.
And you wouldn't know.
right.
Now, okay, I'm a big guy. I'm somewhere between 6'3" and 6'4". Yeah, I'm a big guy, but still.
Yeah.
I mean, had you shaved, okay, shave 4 inches off me and you have a somewhat normal height guy,
Mm-hmm.
and then shave 4 inches out of Dave, and then look at Baker behind.
Yeah.
He's still
Yeah.
short.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Yeah.
Dave. Sorry, Dave. I mean,
Putting Dave on blast.
Dave is a good friend of mine, and he will get back to me. He will get back at me. And
Oh, yeah. So what do we want to, I mean, what parting thoughts? I mean, Bob, I want to thank you for jumping on, but
Yeah.
I
My
need
pleasure.
to track you down for some other stuff too. Because I have,
I got you.
and Allie, I feel like Allie and I could have a fun stream.
I think you would too. I think you
Oh
would too.
man. But I think that for me, the biggest thing is that, moving forward, keeping this story and correcting the record. And when I say correcting the record, for me, that means correcting the either mainstream media or the lying liars who lie, who claim to be journalists and honest brokers, correcting that. Even simple things when Nick gets on stage at CrimeCon and says that, it was a tip about Rick Allen. No, sir. Actually, he came forward as a witness that day, right? So these things matter in appropriately reporting, at least from my position as a journalist that's been doing this stuff for, almost 2 decades. So it's just, I hope people are starting to see that. And I think that more of that needs to be called out. And whereas lawyers need to call out bad lawyers and bad judges, journalists who are worth a shit need to call out the bad journalists. And in here, whoa, but got them up to here. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
And we know that Judge Gull has health issues because, I mean, she cleared her docket for everything but this case after being ill for quite a good while.
Yeah.
Now, I will never wish death upon people, but as a very funny man said about 100 years ago, I will read some obituaries with enjoyment.
And that's Nick's final word.
Yeah.
Bob, what's your final word?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of, I'm thankful that people are keeping Rick in their minds and hearts, and Kathy. We need it. Like, the pressure has to keep being applied, and it's like we're in this kind of this period of time where we're waiting for the appeal to hit, and the awareness of the case has to continue to be thrown into people's faces, because you realize how many people don't know about this case.
Yeah.
Like, I was in Indiana, I was with Dr. Nikki Jackson at I'm part of that board of the Justice and Wrongful Conviction Exoneration. And Jason Flom came to speak. I was speaking to 2 of her classes that day, and Flom came. And you know, and Flom obviously is very big into wrongful conviction work, and he's passionate about it. And, you know, I really respect the hell out of him for, you know, the guy could have done anything that he wanted to do because he has all the money in the world, because he was the CEO of Capitol Records. And that, you know, I mean, he's had a insane life, and, you know, he's chosen to spend his time working to try to right the wrongs of our criminal justice system. And I asked him, I'm like, hey, you know, are you familiar with Richard Allen case? He's like, what? No, I'm like, the Delphi case?
Yeah.
He's like, nothing.
Right.
Like, this is a case because of the way that they tried it, because the press that it got early on, and you had the Down the Hill podcast, and you had, you know, just kind of all the eerie things, the elements that it had that made the media pick up on it initially, faded. And when Gull decided, look, I'm not going to try this thing in the sunlight, we're going to try it in a dark cave, I think that ultimately, you know, we're left with this thing where they tried this case to where a majority of the population has no idea about it, you know. And it's such a shocking case that I'm thankful that you, Andy, and you, Nick, and all the cranks and everybody who cares about this case is continuing to hammer home with the issues that are involved with this case, because it's important. And ultimately, I hope that when this thing drops, and I hope that it does drop in mid-December, which I don't think that they'll get another 30 days from the appellate court in terms of the defense. I think that they're going to have to get this thing filed. And, you know, I hope that it's everything that it should be. You know, I really do. I know that Stacy and Mark are both excellent appellate attorneys. And that comes from people that know better than I. That comes from Kara, and that comes from Michael, you know, and so they know. And, you know, they had said if we were going to have a choice of any appellate lawyer in Indiana, it would have been Stacy, you know. And I know that the work that Mark did with Kara on getting Brett and Andy reinstated to the case. So, you know, I'm hopeful that they're going to really hammer home the things that need to be hammered home, because this is just a case where any honest court's going to look at it and they're going to have to say, wow, no.
Man, I hope so.
I hope so. You know, it's an uphill climb. It just is. You know, and it's so thank you for everybody for continuing to keep Rick and Kathy in your hearts and your minds, and keep talking about it. We have to keep talking about it.
Absolutely. Are you still in contact with Kathy? You don't have to talk about it if you don't. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, she's, you know, it's a struggle for her, obviously. You know, like this isn't it's like that thing where everybody's like, oh, you got to gird her up. You know, you got to stay strong. You got to, you know.
But Jesus. No, but I mean,
it's hard to get out of bed some days.
I mean, I am somewhat of the fundraising king of LawTube. I fundraise every month. If there's anything I can do for Kathy, anything that she truly needs, all I can offer is my voice and get people to donate. So if any of those things can help her, I would gladly be offering that.
Yeah, you know, like during the trial, Andrea had come to me and she's like, you know, a lot of my listeners really want to try to, you know, raise some funds to allow Kathy to kind of land on her feet after this thing, whichever way, whether it's Kathy or Rick and Kathy. And Kathy, and I asked Kathy, and she was like she's in a position because of the bloodlust, that term that we always use and apply to this case, that she was of the position that she doesn't want to take any money from anybody in terms of her having to deal with bullshit beyond what she's already having to deal with. And because you see how it works, right? You see how, you saw how it worked with the fundraiser for the defense, and you know, the murder sheet turning that into some nefarious bullshit when it wasn't at all. You know, it's like they're challenging the integrity of David Hennessy, you know, who's been like an absolute.
I mean,
which is very, very strange to me, how they lashed out on everybody, but not me,
right?
Who actually did the public fundraiser for
separate
occasions.
You're harder to get to.
It's like with the HTC and those new interesting cease and desist letters.
my
Try
God.
me.
Right.
Try
Listen,
me. I want content to have a living fuck out of it.
oh God. All right. Listen, I
Yeah.
gotta go. My cat
Yeah.
is about ready to chew my
He's
leg off.
starving.
Is
Yeah.
starving to death as
You
always.
take
But
care of your kitty.
yeah, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate it. This was I hope it was enlightening to some. It was certainly fun as hell for me. But again, just keep calling out the bad actors.
Mm.
So, you know.
Mm.
All right. So as always, I like to end my streams abruptly and ridiculously. So suck it.